Well, hey guys. So just as always, I'd like to remind everybody, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you can find the full video version of this on my YouTube channel. There will be a link to it in the description of the podcast. So tonight we got Zach from Zach Stuff. Zach is just shy of 10,000 subscribers on YouTube right now. So we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk to Zach a little bit. I'm looking at my wife put drops in her eyes. She does this funny thing where she's like, she hates putting drops in her eyes. So let's go ahead and bring Zach in and say hi to everybody. Hey, Zach.
Yo, yo, happy Friday.
It definitely is Friday. So first things first, I got to know what's in your pocket tonight. We're going to do a pocket drop because I know you do that sometimes. So tonight we're going to do a pocket drop because I'm going to surprise everybody with what's in my pocket.
Oh, man, we got a Friday night surprise from Mike. Okay.
Yeah.
So in my pocket, I was running a lot of errands today. I had to go into work a little bit. It's supposed to be my day off. So I literally just grabbed the new Benchmade 535 BK-4. Got those beautiful aluminum scales.
Are those stock scales or is that?
They're stock. Yeah.
Those are stock. Okay.
I'm not M390 blade.
Not a big Benchmade fan, but I will say that I like those scales.
I got you. I think we've had a couple of those chats.
Yeah, that's not a bad looking knife. I have not seen that. It looks like the Bug Out, but more substantial.
Yeah, and it changes the feel. I've told a lot of people that were not Bug Out fans, go get this in hand when it drops. And I've had a lot of people comment and message me and go, "You're not joking. The aluminum scales make a big difference."
You may have to let me borrow that when you come to Portland. We may have to do a
may
have to do a little trade. I didn't dislike the thought of the Bug Out. I just didn't like it. It just felt cheap. Like it just felt like cheap, like crappy, plasticky. And it wasn't even a Benchmade thing on it. Yeah, it wasn't even a Benchmade thing about it. It was just
these are just FRN scales on a Bug Out, and it has that feel to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the difference between a FRN Griptilian and a G10 Griptilian.
Is that it? That's the only thing you're carrying today?
That was the only knife I grabbed. I was literally hoping nothing happened to it.
Nice. I actually have a Hinderer in my pocket, which typically I'm not. I like the ideas of Hinderers. I like the look of Hinderers, but typically they are uncomfortable. But this is the 3-inch non-flipper, XM18 non-flipper. And the second I pulled this out of the box of stuff that Jared sent me, I was like, okay, I can get behind this. I can get behind this one. So Snuzz asks, says, Mike, is the computer back? So guys, it wasn't so much the computer. What had happened was I had filmed a bunch of content, like 6-8 videos worth of content. I have 2 separate removable hard drives, the external hard drives. One is just for raw source video stuff where it's just like a file with a generic name. I'm not 100% sure what all is going to go. And I just throw all the raw data in. It doesn't matter whether it's good or it's bad. It's all B-roll or what. It just all goes in. And I was trying to write that to the editing software, and my computer crashed and it didn't delete it. I keep saying it deleted it, but it didn't. It corrupted all of that data. And so it kept, and then I had a problem where the computer kept trying to restart. So I took it to the Apple store. They told me it was wrong. We weren't able to recover that. So if you guys, just so you guys know, I had a bunch of stuff. I was hoping to put up like a week and a half's worth of videos for the paying members, so they had early access. And now I'm having to refilm like 6 or 8 videos. So that's what happened with that. So yeah, it sucks. But I mean,
a lot of content.
Yeah. We're well past the 3-minute mark now. So I can go ahead and say it. We used to have a saying in the military. It was, to error is human. To truly fuck up, you need a computer. So Zach, not everybody on my channel knows who you are, and not everybody that's listening in the podcast world knows who you are. So why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. I pushed the wrong button. I did not mean to. Go ahead and start that over.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, back in the show. But yeah, so started as a collector here probably 5-6 years ago. Prior to that, got my first Benchmade 20 plus years ago. It was a Benchmade 940 Osborne. kind of some sentimental value to it. Used the heck out of it for 10, 12 years, and they were like, man, you need to get a different one. Started grabbing a few more knives, and then here a little over 3 years ago, had some input from the family. It's like, man, you got a lot of knives, you should just start a channel and share your knife collection. So I was like, well, that's a good idea. Living in the Portland metro area, I'm close to Benchmade.
That's true. You are.
So
I didn't even think
Benchmade,
about that. Might be why you had such
large
an
attention to
attraction.
Benchmade, but the 940 Osborne got me hooked, and it still has me. I just, if they put something out in a 940 Osborne, I'm gonna buy it. I love that type of knife.
Always liked the 940. It was a grail. It was kind of a grail knife for me. Like I said, I just could never justify the price from what I was seeing from Benchmade. But it's one of those things like, Osborne passed and that knife lives on. And that's kind of the thing that like I kind of really enjoy the thought of that. And I really enjoy the Osborne because of that. So that's a knife that gave him a little bit of, what do you want to call it? Immortality. And so I kind of did the same thing. I used my father's handwriting where he carved those initials in that knife for me. And that's what my logo is. That's my name. Those are my initials in my father's handwriting. So when you see that MJE design on knives that I've designed, that's just a little way for me to allow my father to live on through stuff that I've done.
That's so awesome, man.
Forever. So
I like that stuff. And one of the things that you'll see on my channel, I breed it into all my videos, and kind of, it's a livelihood for me, is DSKFS, do something kind for someone.
Yeah, if you watch the ends of my videos, I'm like, take care of each other, be good to each other,
Yep.
Kind of the same thing.
Not exactly. No, totally. But that's just one of those things that, I took that from early on. I watched, some of those reality shows and other stuff, and really got to like a few people in general, just the personality of them, and watched what they did as a business person outside of these reality shows. And one of the mantras of one of the people was really about, doing something kind. And so I was like, how do I incorporate that into this channel and into the knife community? And so I was like, I came up with the hashtag, and I'm like, let's just roll with it. And I think it's adopted pretty well. There's lots of people that are, adopting the DSKFS, doing some kind of.
It's on my laptop. The sticker you sent me is on my laptop, and just so you know, very few things actually go on my laptop. Like just all stickers. Wow. Anybody sends me stickers, they go on my Pew Pew safe upstairs. Wow. But from stickers from people I like and I enjoy interacting with, those go on my laptop. And so like I've got stuff that my friend Matt has given me, little goofy ones. Like I have what is it? The guy from American Psycho, Bateman. I have the business card. It's a sticker. It looks just like the business card from the movie American Psycho. And he got me a Little Dick award, and it's on there, but like stickers from like Holt Blade Works and from you and stuff. Those are on there. So a lot of people rolling in. We got 24 people. I don't know.
We got some good people in here, man. I just want to give a little shout out. There's like tons of people I recognize. So that's really cool.
Yeah, we got a lot of people on. And speaking of doing something kind for someone, guys, I still have that GoFundMe that I started for Jeff over at Tough Knives. There's still a link to it in the description. I believe I got it set up so it's in there already. I can't be sure, but it should be there. If not, it'll be in there when this video populates and go up. But I just really still want to try and help. I know we raised a lot of money for him, but there's still a lot of things to do. And then on Monday, I'm going to get with my friend Jason Shook, a guy that I was stationed with in Japan on our first ship. We have a mutual friend that was in a horrific motorcycle accident, actually lost a leg. He's still recovering. He's in the hospital. He just had his second surgery. Jason started a GoFundMe for that, and we'll be talking about that on Monday's live feed. So there's a lot of people and the whole thing is everybody in the knife community paid into a GoFundMe to get me home to see my father and get my daughter home to see my father before he passed. And so it's just one of those things like you said, do something kind for us, just paying it forward a little bit. So you guys will see that coming.
The knife community is amazing, honestly. I mean, I've had a lot of different jobs in a lot of different communities and types of work. And, the super secret, as everybody's saying, the super secret CEO of Benchmade. I wish I had that title and could do way more things, but it's just amazing what people do and help people out. So
I have to say, I met a bunch of the guys from Benchmade when I was up there at the. Well, I think that was the first time I met you too. Was the first Blade Show?
yeah, Blade
West
Show
in
West.
Portland.
Yeah.
And I was up there and I got to meet the guys. And so, I mean, whether or not I like, their business practices or their products, everybody that I talked to from Benchmade were some of the nicest people I had ever really wanted to talk to at any show. We had, as a matter of fact, the 940, I have the blade that got put in it. They marked it down and somehow they're like, oh yeah, just give it to us. And, we'll contact you when the blade goes in and you just have to pay for the blade. And whoever had done it, because we gave one of the guys a gift as a wedding gift.
I know exactly
at Blade Show West. Yeah. And he had just, I can't remember his name now off the top of my head, but he was like, cool. And I think they fudged the paperwork because that knife just showed up at my house. And I never paid for the replacement blade. It just showed up. So,
and that's the thing. What's up to Knives in the house?
Yeah, Jared's here.
And one of the things about Benchmade, there's some controversy that's happened over the years. And one of the things I always tell people, especially on my live streams, and there's different sides to different stories, but I always tell people, like, if you met the people there, you would know, like, they're legitimate. They're just like us. They're not knife enthusiasts. They're part of the community. And it just, as a business,
I mean, well,
just like my boss isn't going to do everything I want.
Well, exactly. And I never really pay too much at like business practice. What I'm talking about is like pricing structure and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like business practices and how they're, how they're treating people in the community and things like that. Yeah, I was just getting ready to pull it up. Somebody was asking me to show those aluminum handles again. So
the aluminum handles, I mean, honestly, I've had this one for so long. They delayed the launch and I got one early to do a review on, and it was like, please let me show it early. Let me show off this beautiful goodness, and it was just like, no.
There's so many times that I get
honor that.
There's so many times that I get one of Elliot's knives, the prototypes in. He's like, oh yeah, hey, try this out. You carry it for a little bit. And I was like, when can I do the video about it? He goes, yeah, well, I can't let you do a video until it launches. As a matter of fact, I own 2 prototypes of Ferrum Forge designs. I have the Minax and the Stinger. Both of the knives that I have, both of those knives are prototypes. And Elliot was just like, he's like, yeah, you know what? He's like, I've got like 15 other prototypes. He's like, you can keep that one. He's like, there's the sense of you buying it. He's like, I got like 12 prototypes laying around.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's cool.
I have to ask you, what was your first knife? And I'm going to give you solo layout because I have to walk over here and turn this fan on because we had a bunch of rain.
I do have a clarifying question on that.
Okay.
Is there an age limit? Like, how far back do I go?
No, first knife. Like, what was your very first knife
ever?
First knife ever.
Ooh, Swiss Army knife, Boy Scouts.
Everybody gets a Swiss Army knife at one point.
And
right?
honestly, it literally fell to the tradition of it bit me big time.
Yeah.
And it was like, and I don't know if, people are familiar with Boy Scouts. They have different things where you have to earn your, right to carry a knife and do it safely and all that. And it was like right after I got my, approval to do that, got my little card.
I remember that. I remember you had to do the knife safety.
Trying to do some cool little whittling on a little piece and just right across my thumb.
Ooh,
got it.
I got into my right leg one time. Pretty good. Not like a slash, but like I stuck the knife right into my knee. And it wasn't anything I did horribly. It was a Simmons lockback folder. And yes, Simmons that makes scopes and things like that. They also had a line of knives, and the stick that I had a soft spot or a rotten spot in it, and I wasn't doing anything and it broke, and I basically just like threw an into my leg, and I was like, oh, and it was like half an inch deep, and I was afraid to tell my mom, and it got infected because I knew they would get upset, and she was like, why didn't you just tell us? So, why didn't you just tell us? Like, that's infected. We have to go to the doctor now. Like, it was bad infected. Like I was like, they were like, you're lucky you're not septic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, we've all done fun stuff like that. Got injured or do whatever and hide it, and then all of a sudden it's like, I think this is really bad now.
Well,
I should tell someone.
My dad got so upset, and then my mother was telling me, she's like, you know what? He's going to get so upset. Why don't you go talk to his mother about the time that he got a splinter? And I was like, a splinter? And so I was like, hey, Grandma, Dad's real upset. I was like 12 or 13. I was like, this is my dad's mom. And I was like, what did Dad do about some splinter or something in his leg? And you were so upset. She's like, oh, it wasn't a splinter. He was climbing on a pile of like scrap pallets and stuff. My grandfather was a truck driver. And she's like, he was climbing on these pallets and he climbed up one. And she's like, he jams a piece of wood into his calf, just right along the shin that was about the size of a pencil. Ooh. And we had told him he wasn't allowed on that pile of stuff, and it broke off. So this piece of wood is in his leg. And she's like, and I see him limping, and she's like, I realize he's got this spot on his leg. Like, this is days later. Like, it's bad infected, like horrible. And she's like, I see that he's got like a spot on his leg because it was starting to like leak. Like, it was pus and stuff leaking through his pants. He's like maybe 10. And so she's like, so I get him down and I see this. And she's like, I went to go get that thing with like a pair of tweezers and see if I could get a hold of it. She's like, the second I bumped it, there was so much infection and pressure that like, she's like, he passed out and it shot out of his leg and landed on his foot. She's like, it came out like 6 inches out of his leg and onto his foot, like clear down. And she's like, and I was like, ooh, Zach, you get to see the new bell. Ooh. Did you guys forget about the new bell?
Got a new one. Nice.
I've never had a guest give me a super chat.
Well, I usually always try to kick in on yours, man, when I make them and with several other people. So
I appreciate it.
I did see
the guys that
comment
do that, and the paying members. You guys make the channel possible. Like, I couldn't afford the software and stuff to do this if it wasn't for paying members.
Oh, totally. I did see a comment from Neves though. Jared said he has his thumb wrapped up right now.
Yeah, I saw that. He sliced himself apparently. Cue Ball said, "Did you slice yourself?" And Jared says, "Yep."
Oof.
Jared made a post. Put up a video, and he was like earlier, and I commented on it. He was like, "So I know, guys, sorry about my hands. I work." And I was like, "You need to apologize for your face. Like, screw the hands, the face.
Oh man,
it's scary." Says the guy. Much scarier now that you can see more of the face since I accidentally shaved. Ooh. John says, ring it, Bill. I like that. It's because I can. I'm sure my neighbors just are in love with that. Probably like, what the fuck? Here's the thing. They have 3 German Shepherds that just bark.
Oh, really?
Constantly. Ring it, bellboy. I didn't read it. Sorry, I didn't read the comment. I think I upset somebody one time. He said, "You didn't read all of my super chats," and I was like, "I tried. I just don't read real good."
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think it's tripping me out because I'm using the comment section on my my iPad.
Yeah,
and then me and you are talking, and it's like got that delay, and I'm like,
well,
so I'm seeing comments, and I'm like, oh.
Are you using the link that I sent you to see the comments, or are you just looking at it on YouTube?
No, I'm watching on YouTube on my iPad, and then I got the camera set up with the link, so it works weird. Good.
So what you guys can't see is, and other guests can, is that the comment section here doesn't stay linear, and I don't always see super chats. So if I don't read a super chat, I apologize. Sometimes it shows at the top, sometimes it doesn't. Let's turn this live into a song. My wife's gonna come out.
Shout out for Neves and Adon.
Aiden, make the neighbors think Mike's a cam girl.
Sorry,
that took
Aiden.
A second, Aiden.
That's funny.
I actually taped it. Has a clapper in it, and I taped the clapper up because, like, when you would pick it up, it just ring. And I was like, "Well, it came with a bat. Why wouldn't I want to use the bat? Why is it?"
Oh yeah.
We had a big storm blow through, guys, and it's sticky out here now. It's like 75 degrees in my garage, but it's just humid because we had a thunderstorm roll through. And so if my internet seems off, it could be because we had a big storm blow through.
We're at like 88 degrees today in Oregon. Like, what the heck's going on, man? We're in September.
It's like 73 outside, but it's still hot in the garage. Mm-hmm. So I have to ask you, this is kind of how did I rate this? Knife you wish you had, a grail knife. Basically, I was thinking grail knife. What is your grail knife right now?
Right now.
Because you know how we are with grail knives. Like, oh, my grail knife is this. And if I have that, I'm happy. And then like 2 years later, you're like, God, I really have to have that knife to be happy.
Yeah. So I have some like EDC grails. And then I have like one that I'm focused on right now as a true grail. And that's kind of how I look at it, because as like a true grail, I'm probably not going to EDC it a bunch. But it would be like I'd carry it once a week maybe.
What is that?
But there's some EDC grails that I've liked as well. But my true EDC grail right now, and it has been for a few years, is a Cybert Knives Centron.
Okay.
And it's basically a flipper knife. And he had brought that by a deal where I was at Benchmade, and he was bringing it by and showing it off when he first created one. And I got it in hand, and of course his stuff is, I mean, he hand makes all his stuff, and he's an amazing knife builder and designer, and it is fantastic. And then of course he makes like the tricked out versions. So the only ones that I've seen, I only see one like available right now, and it's a couple $1,000s. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I would love it if he partnered up with somebody, like ProTech, Benchmade, somebody to be like, let's make an EDC version of this.
You're talking about this one right here, right?
Yes.
Is that the knife you Centron?
Yes,
okay, I've got
Centron.
2 super chats. I got to ring this up.
Oh yeah, cue ball, 2A
Cue
Dave.
ball, yay! And then 2A Dave. It's Friday. Ring it, ding it, dong. Keep the heads ringing.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the heads ringing. Ring, ding, dong.
I love that song.
Ring a ding, 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 dong. But yeah, so to me, that's my EDC grail right now, and I know there's some like more wild and crazier ones out there. Like you've seen all the hand engraved ones from ProTech.
I really like that, and I like the Cybert designs.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, one of the smoothest, sturdiest flippers I've ever used. And I'm not normally a flipper guy.
Yeah.
But man, I'll tell you what.
I've kind of noticed that you're more of a thumb stud kind of a guy.
Yeah, and I really attribute it back to the 940. I mean, you get that 940 going, and it's like that's the design I've used for 20 plus years as an everyday carry knife, and only until 5-6 years ago was I buying other knives than a 940.
So I'm trying to think the Adamas. That's a Cybert Designs too, right?
Correct. Yeah. And they just did the redesign one.
They did the mini, right? The mini Adamas.
Yeah, and they also slimmed both designs down.
I remember the auto Adamas that we got when I was in the military. It was a Benchmade auto Adamas. Yeah, it looked exactly like that, but it was like
this is the new mini, but
yeah. And so that, I mean, it was a good knife, and that was one of the Benchmades that I did like back in. But like I said, back in the day, if you were in the military and you got a Benchmade issued to you, holy shit, you were like, I just won the fucking lottery.
Yeah, and you see that right there, the CPM
first
crew
production
wear on
run.
That one. No, I'm sorry.
Crew wear?
Just the crew wear right there.
Hang on. Everybody yells at me. They're like, zoom, bring it. There you go. Crew wear, first production. Oh, so it's a first production run. So that means that the edge is jacked.
I will say this. Very toothy, gritty edges normally out of the factory.
Jerry. My neighbors over like,
oh, there you go.
Fuck are they doing?
She rocks in the treetop all day long.
That was my favorite song we ever sang in choir when I was in high school.
All the little birds on Jaybird Street.
Higher learning. Remember, it's adding. My super chat bell isn't as big as Michael's. It's genetics. So blue collar survival, I'm gonna have to follow your channel. I mean, if you have a cowbell as well. I mean, I had a thermos, and everybody liked the thermos, but my wife likes to use the thermos, and she was throwing a fit because I was beating the ever living shit out of it because you guys kept giving me a lot of money. So I'm gonna remove this. I want to look at this again though. Look at that. That's a nice blade. I like that blade.
Yeah.
Neves. What is this? What? Guys, you're making it really hard.
Aiden.
So
Everyday
Aiden, and then
EDC.
EDC, everyday EDC. Would you shut the
Quiet
fuck up? Actually, it's Pavlovian dog. The more I ring that bell, the happier my wife is. Like when I do a live feed, she hears that a lot. She's like, "Was it a good one?" I was like, I mean, I beat the shit out of a thermos." So, Garrett,
Yeah. So
hey.
for me, that's literally my EDC Grail right now.
Now, what is your actual Grail? Like a knife? You said you had two, so I want to know what your actual Grail like not just your EDC Grail, but like the one that you'd be like, yeah, I carry it once a week, and then.
So I would carry that Centron probably once a week.
That's your one.
And my EDC Grails are just like everyday use stuff. You know, like I mean, shoot, I borrowed one of those TRM Shadows.
Oh, that's a good knife. That's like a bench. That's like a Benchmade, but done by a good company.
Hey, here's the thing. Like, I mean, you look at the blade shape and the handle. You know, for me, I really enjoyed it. You know, and so that's one of those things where, you know, it's really cool, the community we have, so we need to check other stuff out. I'm a big believer in getting hands-on with it, not only from a sales standpoint, but I really tell people, like, they're like, how do you like this knife? And I'm like, I love it. Like the 940, I love it. It may not be for everybody because it doesn't fill the hand up.
I do too. I just wish that they had done that blade a little thinner. It's great. Like it does really good for most of the stuff I do now, but like back in the day, I just wish that it was thinner behind the edge because and the shadow, the TRM shadow is basically like, it's like the Benchmade 940. I said this, it's like the Benchmade 940 and the Spyderco Shaman, which is a really comfortable knife. It's it's like they got drunk. It's like they got drunk one night and had an illicit affair. And the TRM shadow is that illegitimate love child of that coupling. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. It looks like it's got the genetics of a Benchmade 940 because I mean, it's so similar in handle to a Spyderco Shaman, which is, like I said, as much as I might not like Spyderco, I can say Spyderco Shaman is a very comfortable knife.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan of that blade. But then once you put that blade that's in the TRM shadow in it, I'm like, all right, yeah, you got me. I'm hooked.
Yeah. And I see a comment from Spirited Whiskey. He said, Zach, check my Insta feed for pics of the most insane Cybert from USN. Dang, it won best tactical folder. I'm gonna have to look at that because he loves you going to USN and some of the other shows like that.
I don't see that.
And he'll bring a few knives, and oh my gosh.
I've got Aiden said, poor Grimsmo got dings all over. So you're talking about so for me, I don't have an EDC Grail. I had a Grail and I carry it like it's in the waistband of my pocket of my pants because I'm wearing track pants. And so I carry my Norseman like constantly. Like,
I've seen you show that before. Yeah.
If I've got a go-to knife, like I use it for everything, and it's been sharpened. It's probably been sharpened 4 or 5 times, like full on, not just honing. I just stropped it today, and the nice thing is this thing strops right back up. But talk about a knife that a lot of people are like, what would you do with that blade? And I'm like, everything. I do everything with this. Like it comes in so useful.
The funny part is, I know you're not supposed to say it, but in carrying the 940 so long, the back edge of this reverse Tonto is so useful.
I've used it. You know what I use it for?
Because it's so thick. It's like you can use it for so much stuff.
I used it. I have a friend that will just buy me scratchers. Just like he'll stop because he buys them all the time. So he'll bring it, and I use that. That's what I use for scratching my scratchers. That's what I use. Is my 940. Like I'll just come over to my knife case and grab my 940 and be like, oh yeah, I'll use that.
Yeah, the hard part for me, like on that Grail with being the Centron, I'd probably carry it at least once a week. I don't know if I do every day because of the fact that like I would still like the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean,
it's like to me, it's like I wouldn't be able to get another one like easily. You know?
But the fact is, I refinish knives for people. It's part of my business model. I know how to refinish.
True. There's so many awesome people like yourself. I could just go ship it to you.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that hard, especially now I've got a tumbler and an ano set up that we're working on getting set up.
And honestly, I think if I, was really nice to Shane, he'd probably refinish it for me. He lives in the same metro area I do.
I was going to say, like, if you've got someone local, like I can't tell you how many times I've taken my stuff in and given it to Elliot. Hey, EDC Oz. Guys, if I miss a comment, I apologize. Like I said, it doesn't roll smooth.
Flex smudge.
So, I mean, Elliot's done stuff for me that he probably shouldn't have done. He fixed the knife for me that I bought secondhand, and it was broken, and he was like it was damaged, and he was like, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do it. I mean, you're my friend, so. But typically, so I don't recognize everyone here because I know you probably have a lot of your. Did you announce this that your folks would know?
Yeah, so I forwarded your Instagram post, and then I also created a couple of community posts and shared also the link to this.
That's what I'm saying.
Community channel.
I'm seeing some folks here that I don't recognize. So typically, what happens is like I have a whole box of stuff in from Jared, and what'll happen is I have my collection of knives, stuff that I love to carry. But I do content 5 days a week. So that means that I have to carry, like during the day, what I do is I wake up in the morning and the stuff that I want to carry that's mine stays on my bedstand or in my knife case. I'll bring it down and put it back in my knife case. Exactly. And then I'll start carrying the stuff I'm going to review, and I carry it all day and I'll carry it throughout the day. And then I set an alarm for like about the time the video that you guys see premieres at 4 p.m. On my channel. That's what time at 3:55 when I'm logging in. That's when I grab the stuff that that I want to carry, my personal stuff, and I swap it out and I put that stuff on the shelf here in the garage. But the fact is, it's currently 8:02 at night, and I have a Hinderer that is not mine in my pocket. That should tell you a lot, because the last knife I did that with was this. And Jared gave me this as a gift, but this one came in and I fell in love with this knife. Same with the TRM Shadow. I had I had a hard time putting the TRM Shadow back on the shelf and carrying anything else. But yeah,
I'll tell you what,
Jared, I like this. You were absolutely right. This is right up my alley.
I had a really awesome channel member who basically was like, you got to check out Hinderers, because a couple people asked me like, have you ever carried a Hinderer? And I'm like, no. And he sent me 3 out of his collection.
I saw. Remember, I was on the live feed.
Yeah, I tell you what. Oh my god. That was
the day I forget what I was doing. Something. It was Daddy Daughter Day, and I was doing something. Oh, I was playing cornhole, and I watched your feed.
Yeah,
you guys.
Jared's. Yeah. But I can tell you what. Like honestly.
Hang on a second. Somebody said bring that knife back.
This the Hinderer?
Full screen. Yeah, the Hinderer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hold on. Get that opened up on there. Get a little bit better look at it.
That swedge.
Yeah, and it's M390.
Yeah,
and the hardware itself is
M390 or 20 CV.
It's M390.
Oh wow, okay.
On this one, and kind of cool. I mean, and one of the things that a couple people pointed out is like, the accessories or the way you can customize it. Is just incredible what they do.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You can get kits. You can get full kits of screws and stuff. And then just so that this one doesn't get left out, this is one that Jared sent me. This is that 3-inch XM18 thumb flipper, and I'm digging it. This
is that a skinny? Scale,
I think so. I have to look at no flipper tab.
Wow.
And that's been my problem with the Hinderers, is the flipper tab hurts my fingers. Like it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I have big fingers, and that flipper tab is basically it's on backwards. I'm like, why is the flipper tab on it backwards?
It's because it curls back towards your index finger so much.
And yeah, and it digs right in, and I'm not a big fan of it. And I mean, I owned a Hinderer XM18 when they first came out. Well, towards when they first came out, when they didn't flip, they were like, you had to wrist flick the shit out of it. And I really like this. The only thing I like more than this, I like his slippies. The slip joint Hinderers. Have you gotten to see those yet?
No.
If he's at Blade West, you got to check him out if he has some. They're
that's actually on my list to check out some of those, and I really hope they're there. I know Blade West, there's a few people that have pulled out, or not, committed just because of the regulations in California. But oh my gosh,
I don't foresee it being that restricted. I think what's going to happen is everybody's going to show up and they're like, yeah, I got to have an ass to get in. Everybody's like, yeah, put that stuff in my pocket. That's what I'm imagining, because that's what you see everywhere else in California. I haven't seen anywhere where that's requiring face coverings in San Diego.
What is hilariously funny is to watch the Saturday football games.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 60 to 70,000 people. Like 3 people have their mask on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to get into it because then people.
No, I know. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
With you know, it's just funny because it's like these are requirements. Oh, okay. And then it's like
Jared hit it right on head. The slip joints are thinner. They're a much thinner blade stock, and they're so therefore they're going to be ground thinner. But I mean, I like Rick. He's a great dude. He's a fellow Ohioan. I know where his ranch is, all that stuff. So I mean, it's a lot of fun seeing a fellow Ohioan like him, and then also Elijah Isham is from Ohio. He's from right around Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, just a few hours from where I live.
He spends a lot of time in Portland too.
Not so much anymore. He lives in the Maricopa,
he moved
Casa
down
Grande,
there,
Arizona area.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, and the nice thing about Elijah is he's just the typical Southwest Ohio weirdo, and I completely understand it because I'm from Ohio. I'm on the other side of Columbus, down southeast. He's kind of southwest. So,
gotcha. Okay.
I have to see here. Where's my questions? What is your favorite knife designer currently? Besides the Grail knife, the Siebert.
Yeah, I mean, Seibert's great. I love his designs. You know, are you talking like production or like?
Doesn't matter. Custom, production, whatever.
Custom. Okay, production.
Just favorite designer period, because you got guys that design, like John Gray does production stuff and custom. You know, there's a lot of guys that you can that are out there that are doing both. Like Elliot still does some, like he's talking about doing some custom stuff now that he's working in a garage and he can just do it on his own time, but he's also doing production stuff. So, you know, there's a lot out there for you to choose from.
I would say like old school overall. I like all the designs that Warren Osborne did.
I had a knife that I wish I hadn't got rid of. I had the Osborne. God, it was almost like it was like a gentleman's. It was the Osborne gentleman's knife, and I can't remember what it was. It was like an Osborne gentleman's folder, and it had wood inlays and stuff. It was a really rare Benchmade knife, and I sold it and didn't know what it was worth, and sold it for way less than I should have.
Yeah, so I think, and that obviously goes back to the, you know, my classic, you know, from what I originally had. I would say this day and age, man, there's so many people making good designs. A local guy out of California that I met who's actually just making his first folder. Gosh, would I put him up there? I almost have to.
I'm trying to find the knife, the exact knife I'm talking about.
Oh, the one you did? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice. Those are incredible. You know, I what I really like is I like to support people in the community who are making great stuff. And I don't know if I could pick one. I mean, honestly, Shane Seibert's got to be my one, you know, current. And some of the other ones that are coming out all over is just unbelievable. I mean, there's so many new knives coming out now from, you know, custom makers, and they're having all these different people, you know, make them or try to make them, which is the hardest part right now. Yeah.
I don't see it on here. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it. It was a really, really delicate fixed folding knife, and it was a frame lock. It was a little tiny little frame lock with wood inlays. It was a beautiful knife, and I just never carried it. And I was like, oh, I should get rid of it. And I wound up selling it I sold it for like $100. They're rare. They really didn't make very many of them.
They're telling me to make sure to pick one of yours, like the Sea Snake.
You don't have to do that.
No, but honestly, just like yourself, like there's so many great people making stuff. You know, Dylan Mallory's putting stuff out. All these people are putting stuff into production knives, which
Elliot Williamson said that Dylan Mallory is his favorite current knife designer. Like he's like Dylan really is just making, and Dylan saw that on the podcast, and he was like, "Holy crap!" And he like put up an excerpt of the video on Instagram. He's like, "Do you believe this, guys?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, it's true. Like he's doing some really good designs."
And that's the thing. Like Snuz asked about fixed blades, and I love what like Triple B Handmade's doing. Big Brown Bear.
I love Sean.
Yeah, he's amazing. And honestly, I'm kind of like, I guess I'm spoiled because I had an evening where I was able to spend so many hours with him, and he went through and did some sharpening, lessons with me, freehand sharpening stuff. And
yeah, he's
oh my gosh,
he's one of the guys, like if I can't sharpen something for someone, so like right now I've got something going on, guys. If you've got a knife that you want to send to me, I'm going to ask you to hold off. I've had like 4 shoulder surgeries, and I'm missing 90% of my collarbone, and I've got some weird, like earlier tonight, I couldn't make it open. Like I couldn't make my hand open. I was like, what in God's name is wrong with my arm? So right now is not a good time to send me anything for sharpening. I'm afraid I'm going to drop something expensive. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's like if I had somebody who was like, "Hey, I've got this super expensive knife," and I was like, "Look, I know that Sean doesn't take on like sharpening jobs anymore because he's a full-time knife maker. But if you really, really need it sharpened, I would ask him or Jared over at Neve's Knives." I'm not saying start sending stuff to Jared and not pay me to do knives. But what I'm saying is like, if it absolutely has to be done, if you can wait, have me do it. I'm better than Jared.
It's funny you say that, because this weekend I should probably send one out to Jared just to say, hey, make this thing a laser. But like I'm sending a knife to the knife modders, right? And I'm also sending one down to Stasa. And I'm having each of them, it's a different knife, but they're going to do their own things on them. And so I want to send those out before I go to Blade Show West, and hopefully get them back afterwards. And then we'll hopefully have our 10,000 giveaway going.
If you're trying to get something to knife modders, you might want to just give it to them while you're there. Like just be like, hey, here you go. Cause that would save you the shipping, because they're going to be at the Monterey Bay Knives table.
Yeah. No, I was gonna do that, but it's one of those MBK knives, and they're gonna, they did some custom ones for MBK.
Okay. Yeah,
and it's a mini old guard, and so they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it up. It's gonna look good.
Blue Collar.
I love the work. I love the work that everybody's doing.
Blue Collar Survival says, "Farm chores come early. Everybody have a good everyone. Good night, everyone, and thanks, Mike and Zach, for entertaining us."
Oh yeah,
you're welcome.
Yeah.
And I grew up on a farm. I know that those chores come in early. They start early.
Yeah. I'll be featuring some stuff from him on Sunday.
You know why farmers always say morning instead of good morning? Because a farmer knows there's not a goddamn good thing about the morning. Nothing. So, was this Nathan? No, I'm missing stuff. This thing jumps and then I miss, and I don't think
comments.
I don't think I'm seeing all the comments that like jumps, and I think they're out of order. Yeah. Blue Collar, you have a good evening.
Yeah, buddy. BCS Army.
I got to find his channel. I've never seen it before. But then again, I had never seen Grateful Panic's channel either until one night I was on Jared's.
both great guys. And Grateful Panic, he's usually live like, a couple times a day when I click on YouTube.
Always live.
and then I feel bad because I'm like, I'll like have a couple videos saved that I want to watch, and I'm like, oh man, Grateful Panic's live. I'm like, all right, I'll jump on the live. It's cool.
I don't watch a lot of knife content. I really don't. Like I watch a lot of stuff that's not knives, but I try to watch, like I try to at least drop in on Jared's stuff and Nick Shabazz. Like if Nick Shabazz is doing a live, I just drop in and say hi. And Nick's really good. The whole thing is I don't have to drop in on next feed because I talk to Nick probably once or twice a week, and things like that. But Grateful Panic says, "Take care, Justin."
Yeah, one of the cool parts is like with Blue Collar Survival, he does a thing called Sales Guy.
Oh yeah,
and he plays both roles, and it's pretty hilarious.
I've seen guys that do that, like explaining stuff.
And it's one of those things where like I was, he took a break. He had a lot of stuff to get taken care of, and he took a break, and I was kind of bummed because it was always like that comedic relief, where it's like you get that little kick in there on a video. Like, oh yeah.
I like to do that stuff, and I like to do the PDM stuff because his hat's right there. I like to do the poor decision mic stuff, and it's so much more of a pain in the butt to edit because the whole thing is you don't do it back and forth. It's not like you do one part and then the other, and then you do one part and then the other. No, you film all the parts for one person, and then you film all the parts for the other person. Then you have to edit them that way. And then sometimes you realize like, oh, I got them out of order, or I forgot what question I was. And you're like, and then you have to have a script, because if you don't follow a script, you're an idiot. And so I really don't like them. I do have Poor Decision mic merch coming though. And I was thinking I need one that doesn't have the face on it, but it just says, come out and take a look at the new car. I financed it in your wife's name. And then PDM. Because that's a Poor Decision mic move right there.
There we go.
What's this? Oh,
ring that bell, baby.
Glyco. Any tips on how to tighten the detent on my Hinderer? Flipper tab hurts. I figured that if I lightened the detent, it would help. Jared actually did a video about it not too long ago. I've done a couple videos for paying members that have never worked out the way I wanted it. It's kind of tricky to do, because a lot of times what you have to do is you have to take a knife apart and you have to bend the lock bar the other direction, and it's really easy to go too far with it. That's about the only way to change your detent, is to do it that way. It can be tricky because the thing is that lock bar tension also affects the lockup position. And so sometimes some knives just have a stiff detent. And what happens is sometimes if you loosen that up too much, then you don't get lock engagement the way you want. And so then, yeah, you've got loose your detent's a little softer, but now you've got lock rock because it's not forcing the lock bar over to the actual marriage point. So it's one of those tricky things you got to do. I typically don't lighten detent on anything because I have really strong hands, and I prefer a heavier detent. As a matter of fact, I made the detent on my Norseman stiffer. Like, I actually tightened the lock bar up past what John and Eric had it set at, because I personally like a heavier detent. You just got to be careful with it, because the detent a lot of times is set, that lock bar tension is a lot of times set more along the lines of what it needs to be for lockup than what it needs to be for comfort. So you got to play it by ear. But the thing is, you can also go too far and then bending it back and things like that. It's like you can only bend it so many times. It's like a paper clip. You can bend a paper clip and then it breaks. That's about it. So there you go. There's your answer.
How that Norseman looks pretty thin.
Oh, it's thin. But so it's thin, but it's broad. Not tall, Jared, broad. It's wide. So it's thin and wide. So a lot of times if you have a really thin handle and then you have a wide hand, so if it's thin here but wide here, you can account for that. And it is really comfortable, because I'll let you see it when we're at Blade Show West. It's comfortable in hand. And even for me, I've got big hands and it's still really comfortable, even though it is thin, and it carries. So like I carry it in the waistband of track pants all the time. That's how thin it is.
That's cool.
Tall, fat, short, skinny, slim, and long. It's not your dick, Jared. So let me see. What have I got here? Okay. Most overrated knife. What knife out there do you think is not? I'm not talking about for anything, not talking about quality, because I know there's some knives out there that are every bit as good as other knives. I'm saying, not talking about like price, but like knives that get a lot of hype that just might not, in your opinion, warrant it.
I generally don't try to pick those up. I know there's some Benchmade models that have been out there and get a lot of hype. I know there's some Spyderco ones as well. I'm trying to think. Gosh dang it. I was just talking about one last week
Peter's here.
where
Hey,
they
Peter.
were really, 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 really proud of their knife. And it got a lot of hype, and it was like, and I tried it out, and I'm like, it's okay, you know. I was more focused on the price though for the materials you're getting, but overhyped. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to throw anybody out there. That's a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
You
just
know?
saying because like there was a knife, and I can't think of the actual model. There was a knife that what was it? Black Snow did. That's another one I was going to say, the baby banner. I got the handle one. Somebody asked me if I wanted to do a video about it, and they brought it to me and like, hey, you want to do a video about it? And I held it. I was like, yeah, no, not really. I really wasn't
here's the
impressed.
thing. I heard a lot of the hype about the banter, right? When it was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
SHOT Show 2020, January 2020.
Birdshot talked about it nonstop.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing I'll tell you. The regular full-size one, which I have one right here. This is the one that got a lot of hype, right?
Yeah, I liked it.
I'll tell you what,
I liked it a lot.
This thing, I got hands-on with it at the show, their prototype one of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what, I was amazed. I was like, there's no assist mechanism in here.
Yeah.
Because it felt assisted.
Yeah. That's
so
the way some other knives that are like that too.
To me, that was one of those like it was way overhyped, and a lot of people were, you know, oh, the design's ugly, it's real square.
Peter, it's not my nose. I've got really bad allergies, and it's way back in my throat, and it's horrible. So that you're hearing is me trying to like it's just swollen, and I can't do anything about it. I apologize.
What's up, Peter? What's up, Christine?
So
yeah, so to me, I think the baby banter,
here.
the baby banter, it's great. There's a lot of hype behind it. I don't know. I mean, for me, the forward finger choil sells it more than like the mini bug out, and then you have a price that's pretty decent. You know,
that's what it was. That's what it was, Nathan. It was the custom sabotage. There was a lot of hype, and when I saw it, I was just like, yeah, don't get me wrong. It was a really, really, really nice knife. Like it was really well made, but I was like, I don't get the hype.
Yeah, and to me, that was one of those where the baby banner. You know, I ordered a couple to try out, and I'm giving one away here soon. Mm-hmm. But it's also one of those things where I'm like, it's actually pretty useful with that forward finger choil. Like, if it didn't have that forward finger choil, I wouldn't use it at all.
I didn't like the baby banner. I liked the banner, but I didn't like the baby banner. Okay, so that's the most overhyped knife. Underrated. What one is kind of sliding under that you think should get a lot more press?
A lot more press. I think honestly, the Spider Monkey.
Spider Monkey.
So you got this one right here from Southern Grind.
Oh! The Southern Grind Spider Monkey. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I know there's a couple of Spider Monkeys. The Southern Grind one. To me,
I had one of those on the channel.
Besides being incredibly sharp, and the pocket clip is one of those where it's like people are like, I'm not sure about it.
Exactly. I was like, I'm not sure about it, but then it was like, wow, it's not too bad.
Yeah, and I know that like technically they sold the company off because Zach Brown owned it.
Yeah.
And he sold it off, but those guys, that knife to me. I bought a couple different styles of it because I like it and I carry it. And, it's kind of flying under the radar a little bit, but if you have one,
Yeah.
And they're still making knives.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple of them. They're not. I had Mike doesn't need a helper. I was going to bring a picture of it up, and he showed it. I didn't even come back until he was putting the knife away. I was actually. If you guys could see,
here you go.
Like you can see me, but I couldn't see you. So here, hang on. I didn't realize that people wanted it. There you go. So
it's
a
pretty
lot
cool.
of times,
It's a
guys,
liner
just
lock.
because you can see me doesn't mean that I'm looking at the screen. Sometimes I'm trying to pull something up so I can show you guys an actual picture of the knife, but then I realized he already had it. So
yeah, this one's carbon fiber. They also have G10 models. They do some glow in the dark ones. I think I've seen on Blade HQ recently.
I've seen some glow in the dark. The one that I had was G10, and I liked it a lot. And I, like you said, I was a little hesitant when I saw the pocket clip. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, to me, I would say if they gave a different option on that, I think a lot more people would snatch them up. I was hesitant about carrying it, but it actually works. It's functional, you know? So, and it gets a lot of that clip area out of the way. So you have a lot more handle coverage.
I think that the knife, for me, the knife that I can think of in the last couple of years that was just way too overhyped. And it's not just because it's bench. I feel this way about almost all knives are done this way. The Benchmade Anthem, that integral, way, way, way too overhyped. It was a good knife. It was an okay knife. But the fact is, like, I could give two shits less about an integral. I'm not a fan of integrals to begin with. Like that, oh, it's an integral. I'm like, great. Just that makes it more difficult to take apart and clean half the time. I'm not such a big, like, oh, it's an integral. I'm like, I really don't care. I don't care what it is. So that one was really, really overhyped for me. And I was kind of interested in seeing them. And let me zoom that up. That they are nice, but they're not nice to the point where what you would pay for them. Don't get me, they are a nice knife, but you know, I just
here's my thing. The milled clip, I had to get rid of it. I mean, I still have it.
You didn't like the penis clip?
I couldn't do it. Plus, half the things I would carry it for, especially for work and things, the clip just wouldn't work on it.
Yeah.
You know, it would stretch it out too much. And I was
going to say, that's one of the things I noticed. Like, I've got a buddy that carried his, and he is a police officer on the base, and they wear those, what are they? The 511 pants. And so where he would put his knife, those 511 pants have like a place that's supposed to protect the pocket from a knife. So it's got a reinforced area. And so he had a, I got to do this. He brought it to me. Is there any way you could straighten his clip out? So he had actually sprung the clip just by carrying it for work and putting it on his pants. My kid's up there. She's like, I'm in my room.
I love the Anthem. Here's the thing. I love it, but they are so proud of it.
It's too expensive. Yeah,
I mean, and it's like, I think they were what, 600?
Well, see, I didn't realize
they were like 550 or something like that.
They were 6. You were right. They were just about 6, with tax.
Maybe
and everything.
Maybe it was you could buy it for like 550 or a little lower.
If you were military or law enforcement. So my buddy got his for 400, and even at that, that's still more than I wanted. For $400, I could get almost anything else out there that I wanted. So the knife that I think. Huh?
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the knife that I think is underrated is the CJRB Rhea. That's my underrated. Like that one. I don't know what your underrated is, but back to your Anthem. Back to the Anthem. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and I think I love the Rhea. I have a few of them. It's an amazing knife. I think underrated. Now that they've made a second design where they've gotten rid of some screws off the handle, I think this Deca, they're going to put that out in the regular G10 here coming up in the next month.
Oh, yeah, the Hogue. I like that.
The Deca, to me, is underrated. And they went with a deep carry clip. And this is the one that they brought to Blade Show that's like carbon fiber. And they're pretty proud of this one for the price. But the normal Decas, I mean, in comparison to a bug out, I mean, Hogue knocked it out of the park with that one.
So Shane says that his Rhea has dangerous lockup. I have had 0 issues with lockup on any of them that I've seen. So if you have an issue with that, Shane, instead of just saying it's dangerous, reach out to Russell at artisancutlery.net, and he can get you point it in the right direction. If there's something wrong with yours, it doesn't lock up. Mine locks up like a vault. Mine came locked up at 50%. So if you're having issues with it, like I've heard a couple of people say that, and that's a really broad reaching thing. Okay, you have a knife that has some crappy lockup, and that happens. Like, I'm not trying to say that this is like the end all be all of knives. This is a $50 knife. Yeah, there's lemons that leave the plant. It's a $50 knife. But the fact is, Artisan is very responsive. So if you're finding something that you might not like about the knife, reach out to them and see. Like, I've not seen one that had bad lockup, except for one that Nico had, and I fixed it, and it was just a matter of it had a little burr on the lock face, and I just touched it.
Really?
Yeah, and it didn't want to lock up all the time, and he was like, "Oh, and I was like, but Artisan sent him a new one. Didn't even want the old one back.
Oh yeah.
And so
yeah,
I wound up doing it as a giveaway. He's like, "No, you can do this as a giveaway." I fixed the issue by I just touched it, just like took it apart and just kissed it on a Scotch-Brite wheel, and it was fine. It was just a little bit of a burr that was stopping it. So if you have an issue with a knife, reach out to the company. A lot of times they'll point you in the right direction. So, yeah, that Hogue, I'll tell you what, Hogue knives, a lot of Hogue knives are underrated. And, and it's sad because Hogue's been around for a while. I remember seeing Hogue knives for years, and I was like, "Oh, those are good knives. They're just solid."
You know, I mean, they're doing these mini Ritters and the full size Ritters, you know, and of course they came out with the blue one, just like I had hoped, and of course I had to buy it. I was trying to not buy anything before Blade Show West, but I had to buy that one. And then for me, you know, they also have a bigger version, and it's more of a everyday use knife, kind of a competition with like a Griptilian or something. They do
that's what it reminds me of. They're really, really similar to Griptilian, which is a Benchmade that I really, really do like. It's like my Osborne 940. Like if you told me, I was like, all right, you have to buy a Benchmade, it's probably going to be a Griptilian or a 940. Like we're going to give you this money, but the only thing you can buy with it is a Benchmade knife. And I'm like, all right, it's going to be one of those two.
Yeah. The only other thing I would say is the new Adamas, the mini or the full size, since they've slimmed the handle down a little bit on the full size, especially, it's a solid competition one, and you can beat the heck out of it.
Was this wish they brought back the SOCOM Delta? Now, I know I'm not such a big SOCOM Delta fan. I mean, it's a good knife, but it's still just not like, it's not the knife that I would buy from Microtech, but it's a really good knife. I can recognize that. I've sharpened a lot of them.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So, what was this? Shane doesn't mean this Pete. Shane doesn't mean this Pete. I don't know what's going on. I think he's talking about that. Okay. Knife you thought you would hate but didn't.
Knife I thought I would hate but didn't. Well, honestly, the Spyderco's got me. And it's hard to say for me, being a Benchmade kind of fan, but the Spyderco Para 3, I've been carrying a bunch. I'm trying to find mine right now.
I can't get past the weird blade to handle ratio of the Para 3. Like, I don't.
Oh, really?
I do not hate on the Para 2, and the Paramilitary even better. I hate that weird blade to handle ratio where it looks like, oh, hey, like we made this handle and we forgot to get enough metal to make the blade out of it. The Para 2, great knife. Para 1, outstanding. Like that's as close as you're going to get to me going back to how much I used to love Spyderco. Those are both really good knives, but the Para 3 just not it.
See, last couple years, I was trying to broaden my horizons beyond Benchmade, and the Spyderco Para 3 lightweight came out. And this is the one I bought. It's in the CTS BD1N. And of course, I put some blue hardware on it, got to trick it out a little bit. But I carry this one so much, and I actually enjoy it. And super sharp, super easy to keep sharp. and with the, you know, being the
BD1N's a good
lightweight.
BD1N is a really easy to maintain steel. It really is.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I've been carrying Spydercos more often, you know, and that's one of those that I thought I wasn't gonna like, and I'm like, okay, so I picked one up, and I'm like, it's okay. Well, then after I had the lightweight, I bought a G10 one, you know, and then I bought another lightweight, and I'm like, and then I found myself, you know, I bought a paramilitary too, and I'm like, okay, and then now I have a second paramilitary too.
I've always been a real big fan of all of the Endura style. So you had the Delica, the Endura, the Police,
So
the
like the
Matriarch.
longer handled.
I love that handle. That is like
Okay.
as much as I hate to admit, because I get upset with Spyderco, the Endura, I still think the Endura series is probably the most ergonomic knife. They're uglier than a sack full of shit. But when you put it in your hand, you're like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It is so ergonomic. There is and like for a guy that was, when I was in the military, you do a lot of cutting, especially when you're in like you're working in a deck department, you're cutting line and you're cutting stuff and you got to cut stuff all the time. That you'd be surprised at how fatigued your hands will be if a knife doesn't fit your hands. And the Enduras, you never get that fatigue. They are just almost perfectly shaped for that kind of use.
Okay. The only thing that bothers me,
I have mine here, and like I'm saying, I mean, I have my Matriarch 2 here. It puts you in just the right position to cut whatever you're cutting.
There you go. Okay. Yeah. I see Peter, you know, he said, you know, I don't like Spydercos, yet I have 18 of them, you know, and then other people in here have said things about Benchmade and Spydercos and other things. But one of the cool parts that I always like to do, especially on the Spydercos, is swap that pocket clip out.
So what pocket clip do you swap it to?
So I've been going with the Lynch Northwest ones.
Okay.
On the lightweights. So obviously those are the wire clip design.
See, I don't like those. You know what I mean? I hate those really tall pocket clips like that.
They always turn it into a hotspot. The cool part about this one, it doesn't make it super deep. And
it's not deep. It's not making it deep. It's how tall it is right at the very back. Yeah, because right at the very back, that's where it digs. And like, that's what this is set up. I don't like this pocket clip. This is set up for left-hand carry. That way, when I'm using it, I don't feel that. It doesn't bother me. I hate most of those deep carry pocket clips. Now, if I can get one that's comfortable, and I've noticed this here recently, I've been telling Jared that he sent me a few knives that have really comfortable pocket clips like this. And it's not that the pocket clip is any more comfortable. It's the way it's positioned. So this Grazioso. So the way it's positioned, it's not a hotspot in my hand because when I'm using it, it's down past because I'm up far enough. But I have found that those deeper carry pocket clips, now that I'm getting older and I've got a bigger gut, I can put that in my pocket and slide it way forward and then still be able to carry something, like slide it forward towards the zipper and then have another knife slid back towards the inseam, and I can carry two knives. When a lot of times you can't. Like I have a lot of other knives that they stand up too tall to put close to the zipper. So when you sit down, you know, your gut is getting pinched by it. So,
and to me, it really depends on the knife. You know, like the you know, I carry a few mini bug outs every once in a while. Yeah, those have the mini deep pocket carry clip on them. But then, you know, I was switching out like on this. As I drop it, I'll grab a different one. But I was switched out and put the mini deep pocket carry clip on some of these 940s.
Yeah, see, that's just way too tall for me. Like it just would drive me nuts.
Okay. And then some of them came with the split arrow, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna switch that out to a deep carry. And then I end up leaving it on there, and I'm like, I actually enjoy this better.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like,
but because where it's positioned, a lot of times where the pocket clip is high. That's what bothers me is because like the way it sits in my hand, and there's just some knives that just don't fit in my hand the way I want them to at all.
I do like the fact though that manufacturers and the aftermarket, you know, groups are offering so many options for so many knives for pocket clips and hardware, and you know, things that you can be like, okay, I love this knife, I love the look of it. I have one, so I know I'm going to like it, but I don't like that pocket clip. And you can order a pocket clip and it'll arrive about the same time. And I
really,
get it. It's an extra cost, but
well, I
it's
mean,
really
like,
cool.
I'll tell you what, Artisan, back to another company, Artisan's been doing that. Like, you can get these pocket clips for like $10 and have them ship it with your knife. As a matter of fact, I've had a couple friends who are like, hey, that little knife you got. He's like, I got it, but what pocket clip is that? Because it came with this. And I was like, oh, just go on their website. He's like, did you make that? Or I was like, no, you just go on their website. It's like $10 to get that aftermarket titanium pocket clip. But you got to be careful because they have 2 different sizes. So, the Benchmade Paramilitary 2, I think, is about, of those 3 knives, I think is about that's that mid-range. The paramilitaries are hard to find. I haven't seen a paramilitary in a long time, like an actual paramilitary one.
I don't think I've seen one in years.
Yeah, the para 2s are easy to come by. It's the para 3s are.
It's just the military, right?
Yeah, the paramilitary 2s and 3s you can find. It's the ones, and like that is like, of those 3, that's the one I would want. And I've had a couple come in for sharpening. I'm like, yeah, that's a good knife. And I like the compression lock. I didn't used to. I looked at it. I'm like, this is stupid. But the more I got to see them and the more of them that came in, I was like, I do like the compression lock. And when you look at the physics of it and how it works, it's a really, really strong lock. Like, it's stronger than a lot of other locks in the market.
So, question for you: have you tried out or seen the stuff that Justin over at OCD3DC did with the compression lock attachment?
No, I haven't. I don't watch much content. I watch some OCD for EDC stuff every once in a while. Like if he's got like something, like I know he's gonna do something funny, like when he did the roast of all the other knife. I guess I watched that, but I don't watch it. Like, I didn't watch it live. I usually watch it.
So it's just this little tiny piece, and it has that little tiny lip on it. And then basically you can glue it right onto the compression bar or tab. So it sits like this. And then basically it's just, when it's open, all you have to do is just push that in and close it up. So you don't have to reach in there all the way.
I never had a problem with reaching in like that, but that's actually kind of cool.
And it's pretty neat. This one glows in the dark and stuff, and he's got all sorts of different styles, but it's kind of groovy, and it's one of those things that he shared it with Spyderco and stuff at Blade Show.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Glows green. But
here, let me before everyone gets upset with me. That's cool. I bet if you had a blacklight flashlight, that thing would just Oh, is it a blacklight?
Yeah. If you charge it up, it gets even better, but it's just pretty cool how that stuff works. So I got one on one of my other knives. I just didn't bring it in here, but I have this one that I'm going to install. I'm having a hard time as to which one I'm going to put it on. So
yeah,
haven't installed it yet, but.
So what is your favorite? And now I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm going to know what the answer to this. What is your favorite lock mechanism? Because you got frame locks, liner locks, button lock, sliding bar lock.
I mean, you can kind of tell. I mean, that whole axis.
Yeah.
What does TRM call it? The Rock River.
They call it the
Rock Lock.
Rock lock, but it's a sliding bar lock. It's just an access lock.
So to me, that one's awesome. I like the fact that you can basically right-handed, left-handed use it no matter what. So it's easy to carry one of those in my left hand.
I have to agree. It makes a truly ambidextrous knife. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I can put the clip on the other side, carry one on my left, carry one on my right. That way if something happens, you truly have a knife for each hand. That to me is the majority. I would say 85% of my collection is some sort of slide lock bar.
I used to think that I used to think that I love frame locks. That's it. I'm not such a big fan of other stuff. And now that I still love frame locks, I think it's called the River Lock. There we go. Thank you, ma'am.
Coming in with that fresh knowledge. Love it.
I used to think and then I didn't trust the, liner locks. And it was because the knives I'd seen that had liner locks historically, they were kind of crappy knives. The liners were soft and weak, and, you know, they would walk over and then they'd be all the way over 100%, and you could bypass the lock and bend that lock bar pretty easy. But then, you know, they've really, a lot of these new liner locks are as good, if not better sometimes, than a frame lock, because sometimes a frame lock, you can accidentally disengage that lock a little bit, and you could feel it get a little bit of wiggle. And with a frame lock, it's not, or with a liner lock, it's not as easy. So a frame lock, because it's exposed, you can bump it, like get your thumb in there while you're cutting, and maybe it wants to give up a little bit. But when you got a good liner lock, it's definitely kind of opened my eyes. A lot of the knives that I really like these days have been liner locks.
See, I've always had trouble, and maybe it's just a mental thing, of putting my thumb in the way of, you know, the blade travel. You know, I've never really been bit. I don't use a lot of liner locks. I use some, obviously, with ones that I try out and carry for review. And then I have some like the TRM Atom and the Neutron. Are you showing me a pro tip?
No, I was just saying. So that's because I carry a lot of knives that have flipper tabs. So when you have a flipper tab, you disengage that lock. It's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard to. It's really hard to, if it's got a flipper tab, get past that flipper tab if your thumb is still in that area. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've bit myself with knives that I've bit myself with the Benchmade 940, and you don't even have to put your finger in the way.
Yeah.
So I do like the idea of some of those locks being a little bit safer and getting, like you said, getting you out of the way. Like the compression lock, you're completely out of the way. The triad lock, you're pretty much out of the way. You know, you got to use two hands. So
yeah. And those are, I mean, there's a thing that, like, there's so many amazing lock mechanisms. I just want to make sure it stays locked.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. So I talk about my favorites are, but if I had to pick a lock that I trusted to do anything, it would have to be the triad lock. And it's because it's just that, like, it's as close to being a fixed blade as you're going to get. It definitely is.
Yeah. And I saw recently, I was looking at some Hogue knives, and they have, you know, some of their autos and manuals. And I know Benchmade does this on some of their assisted. You know, they have that extra lock that you can push up and kind of just double lock it, I guess you could say. You know what I mean?
I had the ADV Pit Boss 2 that was in from Beardo the Weirdo, one of my paying members. And it had a lock on it. Now it was a button lock. Pardon me. Sorry. And it had such incredibly smooth action that, like, it was a monster. It was a beast of a knife, great big blade. And if you had gotten in the way of that, like if you had bumped that button, it just was drop shut. It was drop shut smooth, like seriously drop shut smooth. And like disengaging an access lock and just letting it swing like that. Yeah. And so if you were using a knife and you bumped that, it easily could have guillotined your fingers, but it had a really strong slide lock that locked it in place, so you could not engage the button, and it worked both for the open and closed position. I was like, that's a really good lock. Like, it really, really was. If you didn't see that video, Zach, you should probably go watch it. That ADV Pit Boss 2. It's a beast, but it's beautiful. It was a beautiful knife. It wasn't crazy heavy. It didn't have all those stupid hot spots like a lot of the DeVillers knives do. You like, if you ever had a tack butcher and felt it, there's hot spots. So the jimping on it is just like, it's like, to quote Nick Shabazz, it's like having a handful of hornets. It's exactly like that. But this one did not have any of those crazy hot spots. I was really, really impressed with that knife. But so say what?
Oh, I was just going to say, some of those, I was reading a comment Peter put in there about having a big blade on that one and a button lock, you know, how a guillotine shut. And I was like, it'd be good for cutting pepperoni or something. But
he's talking about the Max Ace Babylon. I've seen it. Yeah. The big blade button lock, just guillotine shut. Exactly. It's dangerous. But when they put that slide lock on it, and it was like, it wasn't like one of those ones that's kind of chintzy and you can kind of feel there's still some, no, it was rock solid. Like, there was no way that felt at all felt like it was gonna go anywhere. a knife that you got rid of but regret. Like, oh man, I wish I had kept that.
One. I think. What do you like?
Nice, great, nice, John. Nice.
What do you say?
So John over at Grateful Panic, he's like,
yeah?
wiggles index finger. This is my safety, sir. Black Hawk Down.
Oh, isn't that a movie quote?
Yeah, it's from Black Hawk Down. The second I read it, I knew exactly what it came from.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Nicely played. Well played, John.
Well played. I got rid of some Benchmades a while back, and the Striker was always a really good Benchmade knife.
That's another one that I actually did like.
And I'm bummed out because I kept my gold class Striker. However, the other ones I got rid of. I was like, they're bigger. There's some other knives coming out. I want to get those.
I know that not everybody knows the. Go ahead, keep going. I'm just looking it up.
Oh, okay. But it's one of those where it's like, that's a good full size knife, full liners, full steel liners.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm kind of bummed. That's just a regular everyday carry knife that I'm bummed I got rid of because they discontinued it. And so now when you're looking at buying them, they're, double the price. So
I actually, since you said that, I actually had one of these that I'm about to show you. I actually had this exact knife. It was one that I had for a while and it got stolen from me. I had I'm trying to bring it up here. Share screen, share crown. This takes forever. I had the Auto Striker.
Oh yeah.
The Auto Striker. Was this the Striker 3, I believe?
Yeah, they came out with a few different models of it.
Yeah, but this was the Auto, and I had
those were in the black class, so you could get those pretty easily at like the military bases.
Yep, and
online orders.
You could order them directly through the catalogs.
On base and stuff.
No. Like for your unit, like if you were at a unit, you could order them through the what am I trying to think here? They had a NSN, the Naval Stock System. You could actually order these.
Yeah,
these were in
they had an NSN number.
They had an NSN number, the National Stock System, and we ordered a handful of these when I was at I forget where I was. It was either when I was in Iraq or when I was at Mobile Expeditionary Combat, at Naval Expeditionary Combat. I can't remember which one of them, but we had ordered them. That is actually a really good knife. And the second you said it, I was like, oh, I forgot about those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
were
one
nice.
that I'm kind of bummed out on. And there's some gold class knives that I got rid of that I'm kind of bummed out that, back now that I'm like, I wish I would have kept those just for collection's sake. But they're like one that I really loved to use back then was the Striker. I liked it.
There we go. I pushed the wrong button.
But I saw one just the other day. I think it was Arizona Custom Knives.
Oh God, I don't even want to know what they probably cost now. They're probably,
but they're a couple $100. I think it was like upper $200s to $300.
Well, you guys bought the one I had, and then mine got stole off my. That's the thing with being a military. You can't have any. Yeah, Garrett's like military gave them out for free. It wasn't free. It's free to us. But yeah, you guys paid for them. But yeah, they were good. They were good, and they had a lock. Where's it at? I think if I remember right. Let me show it. Does it? Yeah. So it had a lock.
Slide lock on top.
Yeah, it had a slide lock on top, which was nice. So yeah, these were nice. Is this the Striker 3? I think that's what these were. Yeah, and it had, but they were kind of bare bones and just they were a good hard use knife. They really held up well. So,
yeah, it looks like what was the question there? Sharp Canadian had.
Sharp Canadian. Trying to decide which M4 Benchmade to get. Bug Out, Bailout, Griptilian. Of those ones, I would say my choice would be the Griptilian. I'm
Full
not
size,
such a big fan of the Bug Outs.
Full size, fills the hand.
Yeah.
You know, the Bailout's okay. You know, you got the aluminum handles on that one, but it has the glass breaker. So you can either do a replacement backspacer or grind that thing off because it hits me right in the palm of my hand.
I mentioned something the other day in a video, and I don't think anybody's seen it yet. I don't think that video went up yet. The Justice, the Kaiser Justice has a glass breaker on it. And I don't think about it. I wish more knives had glass breakers on them, because the thing is, like, I've been in a rollover car accident. And one of the things that I talk about, like in one of the shorts I did, was like, why do I carry a knife? Well, if you're in a rollover car accident, it's really hard to disengage that seatbelt with that extra weight of your body on it. And so you cut it. But if you're in a rollover car accident and the windows aren't busted and there's no power, you've got to get out of there. Having a knife with a glass breaker on it is something that I do appreciate. I wish more knives had glass breakers.
Yeah. And this is another good option too in M4. This is the Benchmade Freak, the Super Freak.
I like the Super Freak. That's a good looking knife.
I mean, it's solid. It's awesome. Doesn't come with the red thumb studs, but it does have the red barrel spacers. You can add the thumb stud later, but
Where'd you get the thumb studs?
So I got them from Adrian. He runs a website down in Australia where he lives. He does a ton of like parts for Benchmades and other knives, thumb studs, back spacers, whatever. You know, hardware, those kind of things, titanium wise. And then the red stuff is aluminum, just for color, as you guys probably know. But it's funny because his website is like XXX adrenaline with no E and then XXX.com. And so it's funny because anytime I put it in my stuff, it like it's flagged for review because it's like a XXX website or whatever. And so I'm like, so on my channel, at least, I don't know if they've put a filter on it, but it's one of those like approved websites I can put in the, you know, the description now.
ENG EDC says she's a very kinky girl, the kind you don't take home to mother. I wondered who was going to say it, but that's well played, sir. Well played. Well played. So here's the website.
The Freak Show put it up right there. Great stuff. You know, you got to pay for it to get it from Australia, but he's an amazing guy. If there's ever a problem, he'll take care of it. But I've got a lot of stuff from him. He actually sent some stuff for my giveaway coming up too. So there'll be some, you know, accessories coming in with the knife.
Shane Gable says, I wonder why CBs weren't issued knives, because you guys would be cutting each other and throwing them at things. And like, I had friends that were CBs. You all are you're a bunch of animals. You really, really are. Like, it absolutely positively has to be built overnight or fucked up real bad. That's who you call us, CBs. So Cue Ball was saying that the mini he had titanium liners in it, the mini striker. That's awesome. Which did what? I don't see that.
He said the mini striker that he had titanium liners.
Oh, I don't remember what mine had in it. But like I said, mine was an auto. It was button locks. I think it was just aluminum with a pivot. I think that's all it was.
Probably the full size one. He was
they weren't little.
Mini that he got a mini one.
They were not little
ones.
24-year-old knife. What's that? I've bought quite a bit from him. Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. So if you guys are any of you guys that ever try to post stuff up, if you're trying to post a link, only the moderators can. So like if you've got something you want to post up, I don't really know a way to do it. Like you could mention it and maybe one of the moderators could look it up and find a link for it. But yeah, I had to do it because then you get too much stuff. Too much stuff starts popping up and like porn sites and stuff like that. So, okay. So what is your favorite non-knife YouTube channel?
Favorite non-knife?
Yeah.
I enjoy watching a couple of non-knife YouTube channels. One of them kind of gets back to my like techie, geeky side, which is reviewing a lot of phones and electronics and things like that and speakers,
Okay.
which is Flossie Carter.
I watch that channel occasionally.
Yeah. Shout out to Floss. And then some of the other ones that I've gotten, hooked on is like some guys that I've met a few times and do some amazing stuff. Adventures with Purpose. And there's some guys who they literally do, like, they help families with missing person cases, and they're divers.
Yes.
And they
I was going to
travel over
say,
the
I
US.
watch that a lot. The guys that do all the diving and then they go and they find cars and stuff in rivers. I watch that channel a lot. And for some reason, YouTube unsubscribed me from it. So I have to go back. I'm glad you said that, because I was like, why am I not seeing that anymore?
And so
I used to have like
awesome.
300 channels I was subscribed to, and I would just go through and pick channels, and then YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to White Shoes.
What's up?
Shout out to White Murky Shoes. Ocean. One of your channel members said, shout out to White Shoes. That's Floss's cat. Flossie Carter's cat, White Shoes.
Yeah. Steve 1989 MRE reviews. I watched that. I do watch that. Like, I watch some of those. I watch a lot of stuff. Like, I watch a lot of guys that create stuff. I watch Nick Zametti. He does a lot of wood turning, and he makes like casts of epoxy with like stuff in it, and then turns them into bowls and like bowls and like little holders and things with caps, like jars and stuff. And then I watch Ben's works, and he makes dioramas. I watch a lot of like the epoxy diorama stuff, because you can just put it up, and I can do stuff and type and work on contract bidding and things like that while it's playing.
Yeah. Here's the funniest part about that. That stuff is so addictive.
It is.
Those channels right there, because I have got sucked in so many times. It's like, oh, we're doing this and the stuff they're doing. And all of a sudden I'm like, I'm an hour in, I haven't worked on anything I was supposed to work on. I'm like hooked on watching their videos, and I'm like, okay. I need to go back to.
There's channels that I watch just to go to sleep. Like, I watch, there's one, and I think I've used it as a background. LCC, this guy, all he does is clean carpets. It's a Russian dude. He doesn't talk. He just plays music, and he just washes the carpets, and I'll put that on. And I have like this little gooseneck thing that one of the subscribers recommended so I could film, and it doesn't work for filming, and I was going to send it back. But what it does work really well for is I can hook it to my headboard, and I can have my phone like right above my head, and I can lay down flat and play YouTube videos and go to sleep. And I don't have to have the TV on and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, I prefer to do that. My TV in my bedroom has not been on in literally weeks.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, Z-Man hit the nail on the head. I've been loving Harry Mack. He's a great channel. He came from Portland, started doing a bunch of stuff down in California, and that he's living in the LA area now. And he's basically a freestyle rapper.
Oh, yeah.
And is amazing. So if you haven't checked his channel out, he's phenomenal. And then the other one, just for giggles, that I've watched. Now. Yeah, Harry Mack is awesome. And he always does like a Friday thing. He does a lot of stuff recently with COVID. What's that website?
It's where I have seen this. I have seen this moving to the new studio.
Omegle. So he does a lot of Omega ones, and it's where like, and he'll just literally jump on people and be like, "Yo, give me 3 random words," and then he just does a rap to it, and that's kind of cool.
I have seen that. I just didn't pay attention to it. It's like randomly popped up in my feed. Braxton Satchet says cooking videos. I watch Sorted Food, the British dudes. Like, I watch that, but then I was telling these guys, I don't have a lot of channels that I support monetarily, but like Good Mythical Morning, like that's how I start my day every morning, because they post up their videos at like 3 o'clock in the morning. They're in LA, and I've watched them for years. I actually have a quarterly subscription to their, what do they call it? The Mythical Society. Like, I have the pin, I have the sticker, I get the merch. A lot of times I just sell the merch, but you guys will get to see a video of me when I get it in my Mythical Society onesie. I'll do it in a live feed. I'll wear it for a live feed one of these days.
So here's another one. You brought up cooking, and one that I got hooked on was whatchamacallit, Binging with Babish. I don't know if you've ever seen his channel.
Yes.
And he recreates a lot of stuff off of like TV shows and stuff too, and cartoons. and he'll be like, yeah, we're making this crazy, burger or this crazy dish that they mentioned in The Simpsons or whatever it was. And
There's a handful of channels that do that. I like all of
yeah,
them.
and then he also has like a 101 series where he's like, I'm going to teach you how to make the greatest meatball spaghetti in the world, and he'll do like a basic way, and then he'll do like a Babish way, where it's like he gets all these exotic meats and does all this stuff from scratch, and
I like
so that's pretty cool.
I like Mythical Kitchen, where they take like fast food, and they make fast food fancy. So what they'll go do is they'll pick they did it once with like they'll pick a sandwich like the McRib. They did the McRib, but then they did it with like Wagyu and stuff, and it was like, so they made a McRib sandwich that cost like $600. And I was like, and it looked amazing. And I was like, oh, like and they cook it all like on the thing, and they show you how they do it. It's a lot of fun, but it's not just the cooking. It's the fact that the guy, Josh, that runs the Mythical Kitchen he's freaking hilarious. It's just really, really good.
Yeah. With Binging with Babish, he also did, he reenacted the Crave Case one from Harold and Kumar and literally showed how to cook it and how they cook it. And how you can make your own. And I'm like, dude, that's pretty sweet. Like, I'm going to have to try that for one of the parties, because it looks pretty simple. You just got to have a big grill.
Yeah.
But
I also White Castles. I wish we had White Castles out here. The closest White Castles to me is in Vegas.
Ooh, yeah. I went to one in Vegas when I was there.
Nico hated it. Good. I made Nico go, and I was like, I was like, oh, we'll go over to White Castles. We walk over there and we're eating. And he was like, I bought like 15 or 20 of the White Castle sliders, and he was like, all right, I'll eat one. And he ate one. He's like, this is horrible. He's like, I'm not eating any more of this.
So here's my thing. I was like, meh, when I tried the regular one, but then the one with cheese.
Oh yeah, the one with cheese. That's the way to go.
Made it a totally different one. And I'm
gotta get the yellow wrappers, not the blue ones. Yellow.
Yeah,
yellow wrappers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched the Crazy Russian Hacker?
I sent him a sea snake.
Wild.
I sent him one of my sea snakes. Yeah, I sent it to him.
Nice.
I got a thank you email from him. I don't know if it's ever going to wind up in a video, but I definitely sent him one of my artisan sea snakes.
Dude, that guy's awesome, man. Because he's just like random too. He's just like gets random stuff, and he's like, let's see if this works. And he's out there doing crazy stuff with just like a hockey mask on or something as safety.
Yeah. I watched. I actually got a shout out one time. I got a shout out one time from Matt Carricker at Demolition Ranch. He was doing a thing, nice. And I had made a neck knife for him because I just love the channel. I wasn't trying to get anything out of it, and I had a question for him, and I was hoping that maybe all I wanted was an email. So he read my question off. He answered my question on air on his video, and he showed the knife and my business card. And I was like, that's not what I was expecting. I just wanted an email like, how do you handle this as a YouTuber? Because that was the time where I was getting threats against my daughter, and we had the stalker thing had just started, and now everything. That's why, guys. That's why you don't see a lot of like somebody's like, oh, you should do cutting stuff. It's like the only way for me to set it up would be like it makes it too easy to pick up too many items. There's no real way for me to film doing cutting and things like that without showing like license plates of cars and all that other stuff. So
gotcha.
So it was a G says I could watch Crazy Russian Hacker open junk drawer eBay boxes for hours on end. Yeah, he gets all kinds of junk eBay junk stuff and then just opens it.
That's the guy that his channel's wild and huge, but he spends so much money back into it for content that's just awesome. It's like because he just keeps it coming. He's like I saw one of them. Because I've been watching him for years, and then he got into knives there. I don't know, here a while back during COVID.
It's been a couple years ago actually. He's been doing stuff about knives a while ago. He was doing the weird there's another unusual knife, and like he had some weird stuff.
And then during COVID he ordered like a bunch of Benchmades, a bunch of CRKTs, and a bunch of other ones.
He carries a Kershaw Emerson. A lot of times in the videos. He's got one that's like an Emerson design, but it's a Kershaw. And I've noticed that. And I was like, okay. At least he got one of the better
thought that was
Emersons.
Just the Emerson one. I didn't realize it was a Kershaw design.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he's smart, he got the Kershaw one. It makes it a better one. Matt could sell tons of knives if he stocked them at Bunker Branding. Yeah, I mentioned that, but I didn't get a response because you can't just reach out like you used to back in the day. He's talking about Matt Carricker. Braxton says he's done knives for a long time. Okay, I have an actual question for you that's and I've asked a bunch of people this, and it's one of those ones like a lot of people are yes, and a lot of people are no. Pry bars, yes or no? Is that a thing? Like, do you carry a pry bar, or is that something that you think you would carry?
So at work, yes, I carry a Lynch Pry Bar 3.0 at work every day.
Okay.
The All Access Pass one. And when I'm just like mobbing around town, I'm usually wearing like shorts or something else. It just kind of depends what I'm doing. If I know I'm going to be going somewhere, I'll use it. I'll throw it in my shorts. If not, I don't. I've seen a recent deal that Lynch Northwest did with, was it? Who was the leather maker? They just made some wallets where the pry bars fit into the wallet. And you can actually use. I don't know.
There's so many people. That's the thing. There's so many people these days that are doing really good knife.
I think it was Redeem Creations or something. But that to me is one of those cool things where he has the 3.0 is like a thinner, longer pry bar, so it's skinnier, so it fits really well in like a pocket. The shorter, stouter ones he has, like the 1.5, 2s and stuff.
Yeah,
those All Access passes are like, they take up a lot more pocket room,
Mattisfaction says, hey, knife nerds, what's up all? Just watch Marley and Me. Cuddled my dog pretty hard afterwards. Yeah, that's a rough one. Women carry knives says, yeah, that's a sad movie. I can't watch, I can't watch the sad dog movies anymore. Like before it didn't bother me. And then when the wife and I got married, my father-in-law gave us a German Shepherd named Lily, and it was the best dog. Like, as much as I love our dog, I've never had a dog that would compare to that German Shepherd he gave us. Used to be a police dog, never worried about having to leave. I'd never worried about leaving and whether something was going to happen. Because if you got past that dog, you deserved whatever was in the house. And we had to put her down. She had hip dysplasia, and we had to put her down. And me being a dumbass, I wanted to spend like the last little bit of time I could. And so I was like, yeah, I want to be in the room when you put her to sleep. I have actively shot at people with the intent of taking their life. And that was easier than watching that dog die. I to this day, I was like, nope, there's no way I couldn't do it again. And now that my dog's getting older, just the thought of watching Marley and Me, I can't do it. I couldn't watch it. Like everybody told me like, oh, it's so sad. And I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks for telling me. I'm not going to watch that fucking movie. What is this? I don't get scared and I don't get emotional. I think you're lying. If you don't get scared, I'll tell you I told a lot of kids this when they're going down range. It's like the guy that is there that's like honestly not scared, because being brave isn't about not being scared. It's about being scared, but doing what you need to do anyway. If you have somebody that's honestly not scared, stay the fuck away from him. He's dangerous. He's going to get you killed. Being afraid is a very natural response, and it's a very, very good thing to have. What is this? Women carry knives. My son says he'll never watch it with me again because I cried like a baby. So that's sad stuff. On the pry bar thing, Peter Therapeutic Edge, he mentioned he has a EOS pry bar, a small one on his key ring. And that's actually a good idea for just when I'm mobbing around town. Man, these comments suck. They jump in bunches and I don't see stuff. Yeah,
it was a little bit up further.
Yeah, I got it. I brought it up on the screen. Okay, I have an EOS pry bar. There you go. Yeah. I actually have a Mike, you is be in the room for the current puppet really builds a connection. I'm not doing that to her. I love my daughter. I can't. I'm not doing that to her. I have a pry bar that was here somewhere. It's sitting somewhere. The only pry bar I have is a wee Civivi, one that I got at Blade Show West 2019. The last time I was up there.
Yeah, 19.
Did I see you the second Blade West, Zach, or did you not go? I can't remember if I saw you at both of them or if I only saw you at the first one.
Yeah, it was both.
Okay. Yeah. So you remember the little ones that they were giving away at the Wii knife table?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I've got one of those. But here's the thing.
Okay.
I use it as a bottle opener. That's it. Like I have a Nuck
Yeah.
that has a
Yeah.
bottle opener on it. And that's the only thing I use it as is a bottle opener because like I really don't see myself doing like the one thing I really like. I've thought about using it for certain things, like taking stuff apart. But what I really need is some plastic spudgers because anything I would use that pry bar for, it's not the proper tool. It's going to scar it. It's going to crack it because I'm either doing something that's like finished titanium or plastic. And I wind up using it and then I screw it up. And then I scratch something or mar it. And then I'm like, fuck, now I screwed it up.
So that's what happened at work. I wasn't carrying a pry bar. And then because I sometimes don't have keys on me at all. And all of a sudden I was like, and I'm like, I could just use my Griptilian. And then all of a sudden I snap the tip off of it. And I'm like, okay.
That's good because I have another question I was going to ask you that kind of leads to it. So go ahead.
Okay. Oh, and then I was just going to say kind of your comment on marring it up, a coated blade knife, one that I'm carrying. I'm like, it's just scratched the crap out of it.
See, that's never bothered me. Scratching a blade up doesn't bother me. And it depends on the coating too, because like that ceramic coating that I've put on knives and stuff like that, like the actual true ceramic that's baked, it's liquid applied and it's baked on almost like enamel. It turns into ceramic, almost like enamel turns into glass. That you don't have to worry about. Like you can't like I've had this is the original coating that was on it. And I've used the crap out of this knife. And the only scratching was I was home on a farm when my dad was so sick before he passed away. And I was cleaning the terminals, not just the terminals on the not just the posts on the battery, but the actual terminals on the cables. I was cleaning those up with the spine of that knife and I scratched it on that steel. That was the only thing I've been able to do to really scratch one of these.
Yeah.
But I've never really cared about like scratches or marring the finish. Like when I get upset is when I ruin the finish that's on something else because I used the wrong tool. Like if I've
I gotcha.
taken apart an electronic, maybe a set of speakers or something because there's a wire that's loose inside and I need a plastic spudger and I use a screwdriver or something instead. And then you can see on that seam where it's just like all those little, all smashed up and nasty. Okay. So things that you see people do with knives that makes your skin crawl.
We had some opportunities where, people are trying to cut like metal straps.
Oh, I just blew Mike's Harder lemonade out my nose.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, well, because you said that, and I just immediately thought of something I did. And started laughing.
Yeah, and so I work around, or used to work around a lot of different types of departments where people they'll have shipping, receiving stuff, or they'll have things that come in, and normally you'd see somebody with like tin snips or some sort of cutters or something like that they just keep handy. But it's like, this one guy, he kept using his knife and he'd have to work on it. And I'm like, what the heck? And then finally one day I'm like, bro, let me see your knife, and he's like, why? I go, I just want to see how sharp it is. And it was like,
it's not,
like a Dalka, like the Dalka is the king, but, not very sharp. And it was all like, had all these like, dings and chips on it. And I'm just like, oh man, I feel for you, buddy. But I was like, talk to your boss, man. Those work really good if you just get some tin snips,
Yeah.
Or little snippers,
I went to work one day and I was still working on the base and you can't hang anything on the fence. And I was out doing fence line checks and I see that there is definitely some signs hanging on the fence in the area over near the old golf course corner of the base there, 32nd Street. And I walk over and I look at it and I'm like, oh, it's tied on with string. And so I grabbed my Ferrum Forge N-Tac out of my pocket because that's what I carried all the time at the time. And I go to cut the string and I realized that it was there was wire inside. And I was like,
oh no.
And I was like, oh wow, the edge of that knife is really, really shiny. I had to immediately take it home and sharpen it. But yeah, that was like I've seen people do that, like prying banding on a pallet. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? That's not the right tool for that.
As you know, everybody uses their tools way.
Did I lose you? Uh-oh. I think we lost Zach. Zach. Uh-oh. Are you back, Zach?
I think I'm back.
The last thing I heard was everybody uses their tool way, and then it just kind of froze.
Yeah, I saw that jump off, and I'm like, oh. No, everybody uses their tools so differently.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's, you know, it's one of those things, like you said, it just makes your skin crawl like crazy. Like, I would never imagine to use a knife like that.
Right? Like a knife, like, so I a lot of times when I was, I had somebody do this. I had a buddy that used one of my pocket knives when I was on shorter. He used it to cut speaker wire because he couldn't find it. I was like, why didn't you get a pair of scissors?
Geez.
So he cut speaker wire, brings me back, and there's all these little spots on my blade. And I was like, what? It's almost like it's like serrated. And I'm like, what did you do? I was like, I was cutting speaker wire. I was like, so I always carried two knives. And I was like, somebody was like, hey, can I borrow your knife? I'm like, what are you going to cut with it? Oh, I'm going to cut an apple. Oh, here you go. Take this. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, take this one. And then it was like, I'm going to cut speaker wire. Go get the right tool for the job. There, Peter says, can we talk about banging pocket car doors and how much it sucks? I don't hit my car door so much, but I do have a leather steering wheel. And pocket clips are really hard on that. And there's so many spots on that where you can just see where it's like I just drug a pocket clip all the way down that really nice sheepskin steering wheel in my Volkswagen.
I took a little chunk out of the one at work here a few years back.
Oh, did you?
Because I jumped in real quick, and all of a sudden I was like, bam, hit the steering wheel. And I'm like, uh-oh. And then I felt it. I'm like, yeah, we're just going to move on.
Yeah. The nice thing is that car is like 10 years old. So, I mean, I still love it. It's in good shape. But like every time I get in and I can feel it hit against the steering wheel, I'm like, I got to get the leather treatment out and try and get that out of there. Yeah, Peter's like, I've done that. It's painful. Actually, Walt, that's why I started carrying a multi-tool, was so that so that people are like, I got to cut this. And I'm like, let me see your knife. I was like, you're not cutting that with my knife at all. Like, this knife costs more than everything you're wearing. Here, use my Leatherman. It was a very good investment to get a Leatherman that had a good set of wire cutters on it. As a matter of fact, I like the Gerbers, the SOG. The SOG made some of the best multi-tools. The Power, I think they were the Power Grip. They had a gear system in them. And then I
carry that one every day at work.
Right? Those are great. And then the other ones are the Gerbers that slide up. I don't like the actual Leathermans. There's some out there, like the Armor. It has a full-on weapons kit and stuff in it.
That's cool. Yeah, some of the new Leathermans are cool that they just came out with.
Yeah. They definitely kind of upgraded and started putting stuff on it like for specific uses.
Right, yeah. So do you ever find yourself, when you decide what you're going to carry for the day, if you know you're going to go to work, or you know you're going to be around other people, do you like throw in like a beater knife just in case somebody's like, can I borrow your knife?
Here's the thing. I honestly don't have that many beater knives. Like, the closest thing I would say I had to a beater knife would be my QSP Penguin. But I don't, because the fact is, like, I'm really picky about who I let borrow my knives. And the fact is, like, these days I work from home. Like, dude, I'm literally here 6 days a week. Like, if I go anywhere, it's because I went to the post office. It sucks. I hate it. I love being outside. I love doing more stuff, but with the restrictions I have because of my medical condition, I'm not allowed to work. So this is what I got. So
no, that's good.
I do little stuff around the house and stuff like that. But I found that I just don't let people borrow stuff. I'm like, you should have come prepared. Like, oh, I need this. Yeah, you probably should go back and find the right tool for that. But somebody put in there earlier, cutting open sandbags. Cutting open sandbags is like the hardest thing on a knife. Now, when I was working construction, one of the other things that people don't think about, that clear plastic wrap that you use, it's called Visqueen. And you use it for covering like spoils, you use it for covering holes so you don't get wet and stuff like that. Cutting Visqueen is not something that is easy on a knife edge. You can definitely tell if your knife has got a good wear resistant steel, because people don't think about it. That plastic is really wear resistant. It's slippery. It's meant to be wear resistant. And cutting that visqueen plastic that comes out in these big rolls, that stuff is insanely hard on your edge. So
one of my buddies had to do the whole underneath of his house, and I just hooked him up with a new Benchmade. And he's like, "Oh, gee, I'm gonna give it a try. That this weekend I got a project at the house." I'm like, "Sweet." And then he told me when he was done, he goes, "Yeah, dude, it's ready to be resharpened." And I go, "What'd you do?" And he goes, "I just cut a bunch of the plastic to put underneath the house." And I'm like, "Oh, yep."
Plastic is really the other thing. Hair, like I sharpen a lot of like barber shears, beautician shears. Hair is really hard on, because like human hair is like the equivalent to like that diameter of brass, especially like a beard. Like a man's beard is like, it's like speaker wire almost. And cutting hair is really, really hard on edges. Paper, like people are like, "Oh, doing paper test," and I was like, "Yeah, but that's really hard. That's really hard on your edge, honestly." We all do it, but because it's a very good dramatic demonstration of sharpness. But
sure.
Okay, so we're almost at 2 hours. I have a question that I ask everybody, and it's my Franken-knife question. And I saved it for last because I thought it would be fun. So the Franken-knife question is, as a knife collector, you don't have to worry about how you make it fit. You don't have to worry about the, any of the math that would go into making it work and shoehorning these things together. Any handle, any blade, any handle from any knife, any blade from any knife, any locking system, any handle material, and any blade steel. What would be your perfect combination of all these things put together to make your perfect Franken knife?
Perfect combo. I really like the Crooked River design from Benchmade. I would love to see a big fat blade on it, similar to what's like on the TRM Shadow. I would like to see, I'm fond of the Axis lock. I'm fine with that. I think that would be great to keep that. I would also, however, steel-wise, that's a hard one. I really like how the Crewware's doing, the CPM Crewware's doing on these Adamises. And to get a big, huge blade of that, like the Shadow, would be pretty rad. But the actual blade steel itself, Crewware might be it. But man, what's the one? They were doing some reblades on the 940 Osborne. And was it a K steel?
Was it K390?
Might have been K390.
I haven't got to do anything at K390, so I don't know. But that's
the guy was doing reblades on the 940, but he was over in like Sweden or something. He's overseas over there, and I can't remember that blade steel off the tip of my tongue. But that would be like an amazing combo to have like that Shadow blade on a Crooked River.
Zach wants, so this is Peter over at Therapy. Zach wants the baby bed in Magna Cut on a Strider SMF handle with a left-handed butt lock.
That's the perfect knife.
That's
the perfect Franken knife.
Perfect,
no, I think that would be my best.
If you want to give him something that he's going to throw in a river, like, I hate this thing.
He just wants it because he knows I'd do a giveaway with it.
He's like, I hope I win. I hope I win. I hope I win. I hope I win.
Yeah, but I think that would be good, and that's the using practical ones that I enjoy the use of already.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna have to look that up again. That steel that he was using for those.
Nathan said he's like, my favorite Emler podcast question. I like the Franken knife question. It was something that just happened. Like I was sitting here and I forget who the person was that was on the podcast that night. And as I sit here, off to my left is my knife case, because you've seen me reach over and grab stuff. And I was sitting there, I was like, if I could take those knives and take parts of them and put them all together, like you're watching Constantine, and he's putting all the different stuff together and making the demon slayer knife. He's just grabbing stuff and putting it all together. I'm like, what would be my perfect Frankenstein knife? What would it be? What would be my perfect Frankenstein knife? And I was like, the blade off of the Reat Horizon D, the handle off of the Ember of the Spyderco Endura with a triad lock, and it would have to be like thick. It'd have to be have a thick scale on the outside, like the gecko, the steel wheel gecko. Within my Micarta, and I was like all of it in my head, and I was like, it's got to be in like 20 CV or S90V, and I'm like, it was just like, oh, that's a good question to ask people. Like, what would you throw together and cobble together to make?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Braxton says,
little shout out to Marshall Law 123. Awesome dude.
Right here, it says nailed it, Peter. Braxton asked, did I run out of beard? No, I'm currently drinking a Mike's Harder lemonade. I have 3 of them, and I drank 1 because this has been a pretty interesting podcast. I just didn't drink as much. What was this? You should also ask what the go-to torso ventilation knife is. Oh, we don't like to talk about deflating humans. During the podcast, I like to keep these monetized. That's for the after show. So, guys, they're probably
Freak Show was saying Vancron earlier.
Where was that?
On the blade steel. So that's maybe what the guy's using on those reblades.
Vancron. Oh, well, let's look up and see what Vancron steel is. V-A-N-C. Was it V-A-N? Because I can't see it. What is it? V-A-N-C-R-O-N?
Yeah, Vancron. That's a good one, Peter, though. The baby banter.
Hey, like I said, I was not impressed with the baby banter. I like the idea of it, but
it's great for certain situations. I mean, if you're buying a mini bug out or something like that, then the baby banter is up your alley. You know,
so it's a
finger choil.
Okay, so this is one of those Oodle Home steels. So if you guys know, you have Bowler Oodle Home. They are not quite the same company, but they are the same. I don't know how they're like, it's split. So you have like Bowler M390 Oodle Home mixer, but it's Bowler Oodle Home. So it's like one company, but it's like split in 2. So Vanicrom is Oodle Home. It's a super clean nitrated powdered tool steel. Means that a surface coating is ready. I'm looking at this. Let's see here. I saw in here that it was like a super clean version of 440 is what I saw, but I'm looking at the actual spec sheets. So it's a tool steel though. Let me go back and see what I saw here. It's a metallurgic tool steel. I don't know. That's one I would have. It's Bowler Oodle Home Vancrom steel composition. Really, really high in. Looking here, vanadium. Wow. Yeah, vanadium. You're looking at vanadium 8.5 on the vanadium. So chromium. Oh, I can show you guys. Would you guys like to see the spec sheet? I'm such a selfish bastard. Share a screen. Chrome tab. So here's the spec sheet on it. So you guys can see there on the right, you see chromium. I can't read that from here. Chromium 1.1. I'm sorry, carbon 1.1, chromium 4.5, molybdenum. Is that? No, that's what's MO? What's MO, guys? It's MO. Uh-oh. Did we lose Peter again? Is MO molybdenum or is that? I don't remember.
So I think he was using that for the reblades. I'll find it and I'll send it so you can see what those rebladed 940s look like. But
yeah, but you can see right here that right there, the vanadium count on that 8.5. That is like way up there. Silica, manganese 0.4, silica 0.5, nitrogen 1.8, vanadium. Is that an H or a W? I can't tell. We don't need to look at the name. We'll make you a little crazy. Make you crazy. Like I say, like stay out of here. That's what I thought. It's molybdenum. Like I say, stay out of your analytics. If you're a YouTuber, stay out of your analytics and make you crazy.
That's one of those things where it was like, but I think just the blade alone was like $400.
Oh yeah, I get it. Like that doesn't, anything that's coming out of Bowler Udelholm is not cheap. Like even N690, like a lot of people shit on it. N690 still not cheap. Like it's one of their cheaper steels, but it's not cheap. Which I still love N690, especially if it's heat treated well. I think that I really think that Kaiser really got the heat treat right on their N690, because the last couple I've seen have really held an edge well and were really aggressively sharp. So, All right. So typically we tell a story at the end. So story time. What is your favorite story from going to a knife show?
Favorite story as in...
See, Peter agrees with me. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, what's your favorite thing has happened? Your favorite thing you won on a lottery? Any of those? Like, whatever, like you're at a knife show and what's the story?
So I think what did it for me was, Blade Show West 2019, and it's kind of one of those things where, my channel was new, it was in the first year or so of the channel.
18 or 19, because we met in 18 and then we came back up in 19 because we didn't get to go.
I think it was 19. So 2019. And
so the second Blade Show West up there.
Yeah, the second one. And on the second one, it was one of those where, being able to meet so many people that I had interacted with, every week, whether it be on live streams, comments, DMs on Instagram, emails, whatever. And then they did that kind of after party on Saturday night.
Yep. I was going to say, I remember that.
Yeah. They did it at this kind of vacant warehouse, in that district downtown. And, it was just fun because they had,
I was only there for like 10 minutes though. Like I remember that, not to interrupt you, but I only got to go for like 10 minutes. So I didn't get to see any of you guys there because I had to go to dinner with the guys from We Knife Company. Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So many people did so many different things, but there was this core group of people. And like, I know Marshall was there. Peter was there. Christine was there. Big Red, so many awesome people. David from Blade Banner. And it was
that was one of my favorite things. So I got to meet Peter and Christine and Big Red EDC. And Big Red actually is one of the ones that won. He's the one that won my the Viper giveaway that I did on Birdshot's channel.
Yeah. And about that after party, the knife show was amazing. It was great to meet so many people, just like yourself. You meet the first year and then talk again the second year and hang out for a few. But just that after party was like, okay, let's unplug from the craziness of the show, the people that are working tables, the people that are walking around trying to buy stuff. And then it's like, let's go chat and hang out with people that are like-minded and get to know people more, have a couple drinks, sit down. Peter brought an amazing roll of knives to show. And of course, Batman was at the table, so we were able to chat with Uncle Nick and really, before he went and made an appearance. And so really getting to know so many people and then, incorporate other things, and it was awesome. And like Christine said a minute ago, like 2019 Blade Show West was epic, for a lot of us, and it was great. And, then afterwards, after that was over, we all went back to like the lobby of this hotel, where, I think, Adrian from Damn Designs was staying, and we kind of hung out in the bar there and closed that down, so it was just to me, that was just one of those things where, we did SKL live from there. So Big Red did his live show. And so it was just so much fun. And
I remember I so wanted to go, but as a designer for We Knife Company, I had to go to dinner with them, and I was like, I'm missing the party. And then I got really stoned with Chris Williamson at the Airbnb later that night, and we didn't go anywhere. Like, oh, we could still go, and like, nope, we weren't going anywhere.
You're like, no, we're good.
We were wasted.
Yeah, and so to me, that was the coolest part. Like, those are the first couple shows that I went to besides like your just, like they have a knife show. It's not really like
Yeah.
in the knife community, but they're just like, hey, we're doing a knife show. But it's just a bunch of, people selling stuff. It wasn't a lot of the dealers
Yeah.
or anything or manufacturers. And
My
so,
my favorite was USN, where I got to have, because I lucked out and it just was a culmination of a bunch of, like, some of my favorite people were all there. And I got to have
oh,
dinner.
that's awesome.
I got to have it was my birthday, and I got to have my birthday with Nick Shabazz and Will and Eric Touch and Aaron Frederick, because they were all there for USN, and Nico, and we all went to, and then we went up to the Cove after, because I was supposed to
Oh,
meet with
yeah.
the owner of Artisan to talk about the Sea Snake, and everybody up there, Jason McCoy and Ramon Chavez and all those guys that know me, they found out it was my birthday. And like literally like 2:00 in the morning, I finished drinking at the Cove and then went back up to my hotel room and had to be back down for the show because we were proxy for a guy for all the lotteries. And I wished I had died as a small child that day. But yeah, that was my favorite, because the fact was, like, most
Yeah.
of the people that I really would want to spend my birthday with were
Mhm.
there. So,
And to me, that's what makes it the community, and it really kicked it off for me. And I'm like, and then so many relationships, blossomed that weekend,
yeah.
and it
Well,
was
it's weird too, because
fantastic,
you think all these people, like, in the knife world, and you think like, oh wow, they're just like so far removed from like the guy that's doing a knife review. But then you get to know them, and now that
Mhm.
I'm a designer and I'm a knife maker and all that stuff, like I know most of these people. Like I talk with Jim Skelton and Nick Shabazz and Will and Eric Touch and like other people that are knife makers and stuff like that. I talk to them on a regular basis. Bastion
Mhm.
from Bastinelli Knives. I love that dude. I'm so looking forward to seeing him this year. And yes, Christine, I will be at Blade Show West. I'm actually going to be working at the artisan table.
Nice.
Nico's going to do a lot of the filming, but I'm going to be doing a lot of other stuff. There probably will be a live feed from the artisan table. So
I
it's going to be
really
a lot
hope
of
they
fun.
have good Wi-Fi there. I think
I'll just
Wee's going to
use,
sponsor it again, but
I've been to the hotel it's at, and I know I get really good signal and I have unlimited data.
oh, nice.
Yes. I just have to figure out how Nico's going to film, and we get it up on the YouTube channel, because Nico is actually my channel manager, so he can actually post stuff directly to YouTube.
Oh, perfect.
So, I know that might be how we do it, is do it from Nico's phone while he's filming on my phone. So I just don't know. Or I might take my computer and hook to the Wi-Fi and just do the live feed on my computer like this. So, guys, it's been 2 hours and 12 minutes. Zach did not do a face reveal, as you can see, and that's because he's waiting until he gets to 10,000 subscribers. So if you are on here and you're not already one of his subscribers, you fucking need to be. Zach, I really appreciate it. It's been fun. I like to keep these about 2 hours because unless you've got something you really want, unless you got stuff you want to talk about, I like to keep them about 2 hours because it makes it more manageable to put up on Apple's podcast thing.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it, man. I really appreciate. I try to make a lot of your lives as well, and it's just great to talk with you. And I'm excited to see you and spend some
I'm
more
looking
time
forward
with
to
you here
seeing
in the
like
next couple weeks. And I
Blade
think
Show West and Cali Custom Show are like the ones I'm looking forward to, because
yeah, and Christine just mentioned that she's celebrating her birthday.
Oh,
so for Blade Show West, so
ooh. I can't buy you anything, but I'll make sure I tell you happy birthday.
Hey, I appreciate you guys, definitely. I appreciate you spreading the DSKFS. Do something kind for someone, and then posting my link right there to my channel. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, it's gonna be. I think the dates are October. It's that the second Friday and Saturday of October. So 6th or 7th or 7th and 8th. I think 7th and 8th or something like that.
It's like the 8th and 9th, 7th and
Oh,
8th,
8th and
8th and 9th.
There you go.
I don't remember. We were really worried. We were worried that my. Are you sure? I thought I saw it was the 16th. Oh, now I have to check, because we were worried that my buddy Tino was not going to. No, it's the second weekend. You're right. It's the second weekend. My buddy Tino was going to be in Hawaii the first weekend, and I was like, "Yeah, it's like the first weekend." And he goes, "Man, am I going to miss Blade Show West?" So it's the second weekend. It's 8th and 9th. So
yeah, because the first weekend, that Friday's the 1st, I think, or whatever.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to cut this down. Everybody's welcome to come over in about maybe 5-10 minutes, but probably about closer to 5. I'll start an after show. It's Friday night. There's no reason not to. I have 2 Mike's Harder's lemonades in my cooler. That I don't care if I monetize the after show. A lot of times
I'm gonna go get a refill too, and I'll be in there.
You're gonna be in there.
Yep.
So I don't know. We might see about like bringing people up. Like if Peter wants to come on and say hi, we might bring a couple people. It gets hectic to try and bring people on. I've seen like Thursday Night Knives. He does it when he brings like he's got like 5 people on. I'm like, how do you manage that? That would make me crazy. So, all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and end it. So Zach, I'm gonna go ahead and take you out. If you want to meet in the after show, that's fine.
Thank you guys so much.
Zach.
Thanks again, Mike.
No problem. So Zach's gone. I'm going to end this by saying, if you are listening on Apple AirPods, no, Apple Podcasts, which if you've made it this far, I'm impressed. Feel free to go follow the channel. If you want to see the full video link, it's down in the description. We do this all the time. I try to do this every Friday. I'm going to try and get some other people on. This has been a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will talk to you guys later. Go follow the GoFundMe that's down below in the description of this video, and I'm going to get a new description for the GoFundMe for my mutual friend Clinton Bell, who was injured in Columbus, Ohio in a motorcycle accident. Horrible motorcycle accident. Actually had to have several surgeries, lost a leg. My friend Jason Shook, who we were both stationed on our first ship together, he actually started to GoFundMe. I'll make sure I get a link to that in the description of this video. Guys, I love you. I'll see you next time, and I'll see you guys that are going to be here for the after show. Bye.